Chapter 206. He had just killed a golden core monster, and now another golden core monster had appeared. Jiang Xi frowned slightly and spread out his spiritual sense. Then, he smiled. Where's the golden core monster? In the next instant, the flowing light stopped in the air, and a loud shout sounded. Everyone was relieved. It turned out to be a person. Head Gym Master, sorry, you're a step too late. Jiang Xi flew up to greet him. He patted the 2 pieces of ironback golden corpses tied to his waist. The person who came was Xian Tian. He had reached the golden core stage. Xian Tian, you brat, a sad sigh. When he heard that there was a golden core monster, he rushed over excitedly, intending to be the first person in the world to kill a golden core monster. He didn't expect that Jiang Xi would beat him to it. Then let's kill these little ones. Kill all these beasts. Xian Tian said murderously. Don't leave a single one alive. Jiang Xi also nodded heavily. The 2 of them flew down. One person, one in a direction, one with a saber and one with a sword, wantonly slaughtered the monster horde. Saber light and sword shadows constantly exploded in the monster horde. Before these monsters came, they definitely didn't expect that they would be slaughtered by 2 ferocious humans instead of coming to massacre the city. Tens of thousands of monsters fled, not daring to stay for a moment. Monsters above C-class had good intelligence. After sensing danger, they were the first to escape. As for those below C-class, they also followed their biological instincts to avoid danger. But how could their escape speed compare to Jiang Xi and Xian Tian? 100-mile pursuit. When the last monster was killed, the sun just happened to rise on the horizon. It was dawn. Jiang Xi lightly swung his long sword, not leaving a single drop of monster blood. A moment later, in the sky above the military camp at the north gate of Pak Sun province, Jiang Xi and Xian Tian stood in the air, looking at the monster corpses all over the land. Both of them smiled. It was dawn. The human sky was also beginning to brighten. A defensive battle against the monster horde turned into a battle to annihilate the monster horde. The 2 of them were the biggest contributors and his battle record was incomparably glorious. Not a single one of the million-strong beast horde was left alive. Blood flowed like a river. This was a great victory that had never been seen in the war between humans and monsters in the 100 years since the recovery of spirit energy. He didn't dare to speak about the situation in other countries, but in the Xia Empire, no monsters would dare to invade again. Head Gym Master, congratulations. You are the first golden core stage cultivator in the martial arts world. Jiang Xi congratulated. I was originally happy, but now that I've seen you, I feel that it's better to keep a low profile. Moreover, I'm not sure if I'm the first one to reach the golden core realm. Perhaps Yuan Qingshan, who ran away last time, has already reached the golden core realm. Xian Tian waved his hand. Jiang Xi nodded gently. Of course, he did not forget about the people from Yuan Qingshan. This person was like a poisonous snake, good at hiding. Before the 4th Spirit Chi revival, his strength was already on the same level as theirs. Moreover, when they were in the Fengdu secret realm, Yuan Qingshan had consumed a low-grade soul-condensing pill, and his spiritual power had already started to transform. Judging from the current situation, it was very likely that Yuan Qingshan had reached the golden core realm earlier than Xian Tian. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find his hiding place. Xian Tian sighed again. As long as we are strong enough, we don't have to be afraid of him. Jiang Xi laughed. Huh. The 2 of them laughed in unison. Jiang Xi and Xian Tian chased after the million-strong beast horde and slaughtered them. Not only did they intimidate the monsters, but they also intimidated the entire martial arts world. Other than the Xia Empire, the other 4 countries were the Peacock Country, the Dark Shadow Country, the Sacred Alliance, and the Alpha Star. The powerhouses of these countries all fell into silence. The Xia Empire was already very powerful. Now that they had such a powerhouse, would they still have a chance to catch up with the Xia Empire? They were not willing to accept it. The Peacock country, located to the west of the Xia Empire's western plateau, occupied a subcontinent. In the long history of the Peacock country, there had been many breakdowns in their civilization and many things had been lost. However, after the recovery of spiritual qi, their experts had excavated many ancient heritages from various ancient ruins and ancient temples on this subcontinent. As a result, this country had become one of the 5 remaining major countries in the Spirit Qi revival era. On this day, in the wilderness of the Peacock country, there was a rock cave buried in the ruins of an ancient pagoda that was rarely known. The rock cave was very dry and very quiet. A skinny old monk sat cross-legged on a stone platform in the rock cave. In the dim environment, his eyes were like torches, emitting an astonishing aura. In front of the old monk, there was a holographic projection. It was playing the Battle of the Beast Horde outside Pak Sun province. 1,000 years have passed. I didn't expect the Xia Empire to still be so powerful. There are actually 2 young peerless geniuses. After sleeping for 1,000 years, the spirit qi of heaven and earth has revived. In this great era, it's time for me to go out and fight. The old monk's eyes were filled with greed as if they were filled with endless desire. He had awakened during the spirit qi tide some time ago. After a short tour of the Peacock country, he had brought back some high-tech technology. He already had a preliminary understanding of the new era. However, this was not enough. He wanted more. The Holy Alliance, a 1,000-year-old holy city. In the old era, this city was called the City of the Prophets. When the Spirit Qi revival first occurred, this continent of the Western world was besieged by monsters in the sea and was in imminent danger. The powerhouses who walked out of this holy city dispersed the powerful beast horde from the sea. Then, these powerhouses, like the Holy Light, walked into the human world and led the people who survived the disaster to establish the Holy Alliance. Recently, there was an area in the Holy City Cathedral that was covered in white mist. During the Spirit Qi revival half a month ago, there were people who saw a 5-colored brilliance flash in this area in the middle of the night. Now, this area had been listed as a forbidden area by the Holy City Cathedral. Outsiders were forbidden to enter. On this day, white fog billowed in the forbidden area. If the white fog was dispelled, one would be able to see that this place was like a herb garden. There was a withered small tree stubbornly rooted in the middle of the herb garden. On the only branch of the small tree, there was a piece of crystal green leaf. At this time, 2 figures stood in front of the withered small tree. One was covered in a black robe, and the other was in a red robe. We have to speed up. After the 4th Spirit Qi revival, the Spirit Qi of heaven and earth has increased greatly. There are already geniuses in the Great Xia Kingdom who can kill Golden Core Realm cultivators in the Spirit Nurturing Realm. If we are one step late, we will never be able to catch up. The red-robed figure said in a low voice and was unusually gentle. Then do as I say. The Spirit Qi revival this time has allowed so many powerhouses to appear in the martial arts world. Wouldn't it be a waste if we don't make use of them? The black-robed figure smiled sinisterly, exuding a gloomy aura. Judging from the voice, it was Hermit Yuanqing who had disappeared for a long time. The red-robed figure was deep in thought. After a while, he said in a low voice, "There is a premise. We have to ensure that there is no problem down there. I don't want to bring disaster to this world because of our noble pursuit." After saying that, he turned and left. He. Hermit Yuanqing stayed where he was and laughed in a low voice as if he was mocking him. In the Ma family of the Chang and Prefecture. This was because the only 2 clansmen of the family head, Ma Jinhai and Ma Yu, were both dead. There was a period of time when the clansmen of the branch became very chaotic, to the extent that they were going to separate from the family. However, half a month ago, the Ma family strangely quieted down again. On this day, the new family head of the Ma family from the branch came to the secret chamber of the ancestral hall. He recounted the battle of the Beast Tide in Pak Sun province in detail, as if he was talking to the air. After saying that, he left respectfully. After a long time, a gloomy aura circulated in this coffin-like secret chamber. End my bloodline. Chapter 207. The Battle of the Beast Tide outside Pak Sun province had brought about a great impact and change to the world. Some inaccessible places, or some long-established families that had been in hiding for countless years, had awakened. Their awakening was not only related to the increase in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth due to the fourth awakening of spiritual energy. Another reason was that in this Battle of the Beast Tide, there had been 2 golden core cultivators and a peerless genius who had killed a golden core cultivator with the strength of a spirit vessel cultivator. This meant that the current spiritual energy environment was enough to support the survival of a golden core cultivator. Those who had been in hibernation were no longer afraid. And the impact and change did not only happen in the human world. In the Yi Mountain's secret realm of the Great Xia Kingdom, the Zhenyi army, who was in charge of guarding the Yi Mountain's secret realm, and Qin Shi, the current generation expert of the Qin family of the Shuntian prefecture, were all ready for battle. At this time, in the sky above the Yi Mountain's secret realm, a giant dragon python with wings on its back was circling in the air, roaming freely. Its body was covered in black scales, which emitted a cold light under the night sky. The feeling of flying in the air is really different. The dragon python spoke in human language, causing thunder to rumble. It had also reached the golden core stage. However, it had no intention of attacking. After circling in the air for a while, it returned to the Yi Mountain's secret realm that was shrouded in fog. Qin Shi heaved a sigh of relief, and a yearning look appeared on his cold face. I want to reach the golden core stage too. Jiang Ci did not pay attention to the changes that had taken place in the world. After solving the crisis of the Beast Tide in Pak Sun province, he returned home with the corpse of the ironback golden centipede. The millions of monster corpses were handed over to the North Mountain Army to clean up. With so many monster materials, the overall strength of the martial arts world in Pak Sun province would definitely rise to a new level. As soon as Jiang Ci returned home, Jiang Dudu immediately came up to him with a smile on her face. She was proud of Jiang Ci's magnificent feat of killing the monsters. Then, she saw the corpse of the ironback golden centipede and asked curiously, "Brother, what are you going to do with such a huge centipede?" A giant centipede of the golden core stage is an excellent item for healing and detoxifying. It can be used to boil soup, soak in wine, make medicinal cuisine, and grind into powder. Jiang Ci said with a smile. It was not a waste of effort for him to organize and comprehend Daoist Ji's inherited memories for so long. These knowledge points came to him as soon as he opened his mouth. It's a pity that it's just a centipede. If only it was some kind of chicken, duck, or goose monster that had reached the golden core stage. It should be delicious. Jiang Dudu sighed. Jiang Ci did not care about the little girl's wishes. He went to the underground training room and carefully put away the corpse of the ironback golden centipede. Of course, materials like great fey corpses could be stored in storage rings for a longer period of time. However, the refinement of the storage ring had yet to be completed. It would take some time. Then, he opened the experience panel with a smile. Apart from the corpse of the great demon, he had also obtained a massive amount of experience points from the Beast Stampede battle. Cultivation level, Spirit Nurture, later stage 8820088200, Dao Technique Gale Intent, 500,000/500,000, Sword Intent, 76,038,61,000,000, Amplitude, 14. 687 Deduction, 10,000 experience points per use. Cultivation Techniques, Purple Cloud Sword Manual, Peacock Visualization Experience Points, 9. 83 million, I have almost 10 million experience points left. This should be enough for a long time. 83 million. This number made Jiang Ci feel more at ease. He did not have to find time to hunt monsters in the wilderness. Jiang Ci decided that he would focus on practicing the 100 refinements technique at home and strive to reach the golden core stage as soon as possible. He would not go out until he reached the golden core stage. The Beast Stampede battle had shocked the enemies and established a peaceful situation for the Xia Kingdom for a period of time. However, not every city in the world had strong cultivators like Jiang Xi and Xian Tian. Just 3 days after the Beast Stampede battle in Pak Sun province, a tragic event happened in the Western world. Nordic City, which was located north of the Sacred Alliance, was massacred by a golden core demon. This was a large city that was independent of the 5 major countries and was very famous in the new era. Due to the complicated structure of the forces and loose management, this place became a place where exiled martial artists and evil people yearned for. While being powerful, it was also a synonym for chaos. However, on this day, under the attack of that terrifying golden core demon, in less than 10 minutes, this prosperous and powerful city became a sea of fire and ruins. There were hundreds of millions of people living here, but less than 10 million escaped. The tragic scene was captured by satellites and broadcasted around the world. It happened too suddenly, and Nordic City was a city that was independent of the 5 major countries. Even if the strong cultivators of the 5 major countries wanted to help, they could not make it in time. At this moment, Jiang Xi was cultivating. He was awakened from his cultivation by Jiang Daodu. Then, he saw the holographic image that was transmitted from the Western world. In the holographic image, there was a fire dragon that looked like a Western myth. Its huge body was hovering above Nordic City. It let out a thunderous laugh, and then spewed out a blazing red flame. In an instant, Nordic City became a sea of fire. The red flame was extremely powerful, as if it could melt everything. One after another, the tall buildings collapsed and melted, gathering into magma. As for ordinary people, it was even more impossible for them to resist this kind of flame. In less than a second, they were turned into ashes by the red flame. In such a situation, of course, there were people who resisted. The strongest person in Nordic City was an early-stage spirit vessel martial artist. However, just as he took out his long saber, he was crushed to death by the terrifying fire dragon. The people of the East are trash, and the demons of the East are even more trash. Today, I, the fire dragon, will be the first demon to massacre a human city. Its savage voice resounded in the sky above Nordic City that had turned into a sea of magma. What does your massacre of the Western world have to do with the Eastern world? This was a question that many people wanted to ask. When Jiang Xi saw this scene, he understood that it was related to the Beast Tide battle in Pak Sun province 3 days ago. Because there was also a golden core demon, the iron-backed golden centipede, that wanted to massacre a human city. However, just as the iron-backed golden centipede attacked, it was killed by his sword. The fire dragon and the iron-backed golden centipede were both golden core demons. They were equally ferocious and regarded human lives as nothing. It wanted to show its ferocity by massacring a city. At the end of the holographic image, the fire dragon seemed to know that there was a satellite recording. Its terrifying figure stood above the ruins of the Sea of Fire, and it said proudly, "That man from the east called Jiang Xi, do you dare to come to the Western world? Fight with me. Let me tell you, who is stronger between a demon and a human? I, the fire dragon, will wait for you here." The provocative declaration of war was spread all over the world through the holographic image. Suddenly, the whole world was in an uproar. For a moment, everyone was guessing whether Jiang Xi would accept the challenge. On one side was the first human genius to kill a golden core demon. On the other side was the first golden core demon to massacre a human city. If they were to fight, who would be stronger? Chapter 208. Xian Tian called immediately. Jiang Xi, do you want me to go over and kill that beast for you? From the virtual screen, the flame dragon was much stronger than the ironback golden centipede. Xian Tian was worried that Jiang Xi would accept the challenge. Don't worry about it. I'm not a 3-year-old kid. I won't be provoked by a few words. Jiang Xi laughed. When you want to kill it, just let me know. I'll do it for you. Xian Tian finally said. After ending the call, Jiang Xi shook his head gently. It seemed that Xian Tian couldn't bear it anymore and wanted to find a golden core monster to sharpen his knife. Li Baibai, Huang Kun, and the others also called one after another. Their intentions were different from Xian Tian's. They all advised Jiang Xi not to go. Although in their eyes, Jiang Xi was already very strong. However, Jiang Xi was the future hope of the Great Xia Kingdom, and if he didn't have to take the risk, it was best not to do so. "Brother, you won't go, will you?" Jiang Daodu also asked. "I'm not stupid. Why would I do something that doesn't benefit me?" Jiang Xi laughed. Did he travel thousands of miles just to kill a golden core great demon? Or to avenge the 90 million people who died in Northern Europe City? Don't joke around. He was not a saint. Among the 5 superpowers, the Holy Union and the Shadow Kingdom were both countries of the Western world. The powerhouses of these 2 countries didn't make a move. Why would he join in the fun? Jiang Xi believed that the Holy Union and the Shadow Kingdom definitely had powerhouses of the Golden Core level. Otherwise, in the era of Spirit Chi recovery, these 2 countries would have been destroyed by the monsters long ago. Jiang Xi let the flame dragon bark at him through the satellite network, the news media, and so on. He didn't pay attention to it at all and just focused on cultivation. At present, cultivating to the Golden Core stage was his biggest goal. However, Jiang Xi did not expect that the ones who were most disappointed by his indifferent attitude were the people from the Western world. The flame dragon slaughtered the entire city when he said so. He was incomparably savage and did not leave anyone a way out. The people of the Western world were worried that the flame dragons would massacre the cities again. Therefore, many people in the Western world hoped that Jiang Xi would take action and slay this ferocious Golden Core demon. Some people even sent out invitations on the internet, mobilizing the power of the internet to invite Jiang Xi over. However, Jiang Xi only replied with 2 words, "Not free." The fiery dragon thought that Jiang Xi was scared, so it shouted crazily. Looks like after 300 years, the Easterners haven't changed at all. There's still a bunch of gutless trash. Its words exposed its identity. Someone immediately went to investigate the news that had been preserved from the old era. Soon, they discovered a secret matter from a small newspaper. It turned out that 300 years ago, before the Spirit Chi had recovered, this flame dragon had come to the east and destroyed several small cities. Millions of people lost their lives as a result. In the end, it was frightened by an old Taoist in the mountains of Xia country and fled back to the Western world. Now, many people understood why the flame dragon hated the East so much. It had suffered under the hands of the Easterners before. Now, it wanted to regain its lost face. As for why it chose to provoke Jiang Xi, the reason was very simple. Jiang Xi was now one of the representatives of Xia country's martial arts world, and he was also the youngest one. Although he had killed the Golden Core demon, the Ironback Golden Centipede, his actual cultivation was only at the late stage of spirit nourishment. No matter how one looked at it, he was the weakest among the top experts of Xia country's martial arts world. The others, such as Xian Tian and Li Baibai, had been famous for a long time. No one dared to underestimate them. In addition, Jiang Xi was now famous. If they defeated Jiang Xi, the benefits would be even greater. If one was famous, there would be trouble wherever he went. Of course, Jiang Xi also understood this. His attitude was still the same. If there were no benefits, he would not do it. Was it uncomfortable to lie down and cultivate at home? Jiang Xi did not accept the challenge, and the flame dragon gradually died down. After a few more days of clamoring, it felt bored. In the end, it once again said that the Easterners were all cowards and trash, and no longer spoke. In these few days, there were people who told Jiang Xi a lot of information about the flame dragon. Especially Xian Tian, who told him an important piece of information. 300 years ago, the sleeping flame dragon accidentally woke up. In order to replenish its energy, it massacred a few cities in the east and devoured ordinary people. However, it was not scared away by the old Taoist in the mountains. It was almost killed and suffered a great loss. The painful experience made it only dare to bark in the Western world now. It did not dare to come to the Xia country directly. Therefore, Jiang Xi's evaluation of this golden core demon was, bully the weak and fear the strong. Just look at its actions of massacring the cities. The flame dragon did not massacre the cities of the Sacred Union or the Shadow Kingdom. Instead, it chose the Northern European city as its target because the Northern European city had no backing. This kind of demon was like a pile of rotten dog poop. There was no benefit to killing it, and it might even be stained with the smell of poop. Jiang Xi did not want to waste the effort to go there and start a war between the East and the West. In the following period of time, the martial arts world fell into silence again. Nothing major happened. In such silence, the end of the year came in the blink of an eye. Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu began to prepare for the New Year's goods. The two of them did not consider themselves as martial arts experts at all. Every New Year, they would visit relatives and friends as ordinary people and happily spend this important festival. New Moon Year 95, December 25th. On this day, Jiang Xi received a call from Xian Tian again. Jiang Xi, do you dare to go to the Sacred Union in the Western world? Go to that flame dragon? No, I'm buying New Year's goods. Xian Tian was speechless. New Year's goods? It seemed like he had not celebrated New Year's in 100 years. It's not about flame dragon. Last night, the Sacred Union's 1,000-year-old holy city suddenly shone with colorful brilliance. Then, our spies found something good inside. What good thing? A 10,000-year-old spiritual item. A 10,000-year-old spiritual item. Jiang Xi was also shocked. That was a raw material that could be used to refine middle-grade spiritual pills. Earth already had it. A 1,000-year-old spiritual item could be used to refine low-grade spiritual pills, while a 10,000-year-old spiritual item could be used to refine middle-grade spiritual pills. Middle-grade spiritual pills were extremely precious. Generally, only nascent soul cultivators could afford to use them. If there really was a 10,000-year-old spiritual item, then he could consider making a trip there. If there were benefits, he would definitely do it. Of course, he did not want to use the 10,000-year-old spiritual item to refine pills. Instead, he was interested in the spiritual energy contained in the 10,000-year-old spiritual item. How about it? With our speed, if we don't delay things, a round trip will take us half a day. Xian Tian laughed. That's fine. Where do we go? Come to Xian Tian City first. Anyway, we will pass by here to the Western world. No problem. Jiang Xi and Xian Tian agreed on a time and ended the call. His eyes flickered, and a fighting spirit rose in his eyes. In the old era, the Western world robbed us of many things. It's time to take them back. A 10,000-year-old spiritual item could be considered as interest first. Jiang Xi came from the old era. He knew better than the people of the new era the evil deeds that the Western world had done to the great Xia kingdom many years ago. Chapter 209. Except for the evil deeds of the old era. And a few years ago, those foreign spirit cultivators and A-level martial artists. They broke into the Jade Pool's secret realm without permission and wanted to seize those 1,000-year-old spiritual objects. These were enough to explain the banditry that the Western world had always pursued. Jiang Xi was very clear about one point. Since ancient times, one could not reason with the people of the Western world. Even if one wanted to reason, one had to use one's fists. He said goodbye to Jiang Daodu and went out with the profound condensation sword. He did not bring anything else with him. Because he had successfully refined the storage ring, he could use his spiritual sense to store items. He could finally use the magic treasure for traveling and killing people. He flew all the way to Xian Tian City. Jiang Xi found that it was not only him and Xian Tian who were going to the Western world. There was another person. Li Bai. The aura emitted from her body was that of the gold core stage. However, Jiang Xi was not surprised that Li Bai could reach the gold core stage. After all, her talent was there. Congratulations, Senior Li. Jiang Xi smiled and congratulated. Li Bai was a cold-tempered person, but at this time, she smiled. She did not treat Jiang Xi as a spirit cultivator. In her eyes, Jiang Xi was a gold core stage. Jiang Xi, let's talk as equals. We are all in the gold core stage. There is no need to call me senior. Li Bai chuckled. That's right. In ancient times, cultivators were ranked based on their cultivation and not their age. Xian Tian nodded as well. Then he smiled and said, I think we should be more direct. How about this, Bai and I call each other brother and sister in private. Jiang Xi, you can call me big brother in the future and call Bai second sister. Sister Bai, it's okay. Second sister doesn't sound good. Li Bai shook her head. Riverward was stunned for a moment. Xian Tian was indeed efficient and direct in handling matters. Just like that, they began to discuss the relationship between brothers and sisters. Greetings, big brother, sister Bai. Jiang Xi did not refuse. These two people could be called the proud sons of heaven in the era of the recovery of spirit qi. Moreover, through Daoist Ji's inherited memories, he understood many things with the talents of Xian Tian and Li Bai. Even in the universe, they would be considered geniuses. Especially Xian Tian, who could comprehend the true meaning of saber on his own with the cultivation of spirit vessel stage. With such talent, he was definitely a top genius. It was a good thing that they called each other brother and sister. Then the three of us will go to the Western world and cross the river. Xian Tian laughed. Big brother, you were in the limelight during the battle of the Tongtian Mountain in the Jade Lake's secret realm. This time, if there is a battle, let me make the first move. Li Bai said in a cold voice. Xian Tian joked, you'll have to ask our third brother. He's the fastest. The two of them turned to look at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi chuckled. This time, I'll be responsible for the last hit. Then it's settled. Let's go. Let the Western world's martial artists experience the strength of our great Xia's martial artists. Xian Tian waved his hand. The eyes of the three of them lit up. Since the recovery of spiritual qi, they had never taken the initiative to set foot in the Western world. This time, they had to make a good trip. Under the night sky, three figures soared into the sky and flew toward the holy city of the Holy Alliance in the Western world. When flying over the Kunlun Mountains, Jiang Xi found that the terrain had changed dramatically. The snowy mountains and the wilderness were gone. Instead, there was a lush primitive forest. Clouds and mist drifted between the mountains, making it look like a celestial mountain. Big brother, this change happened during the fourth recovery of spiritual qi? Jiang Xi asked. Yes, at that time, there were a few spirit vessel stage demons in the mountains, but they were all killed by me. Xian Tian laughed. Jiang Xi and Li Bai were speechless for a while. It seemed that Xian Tian's saber had been thirsty for blood for a long time. Is there anything unusual in the Jade Lake's secret realm? Jiang Xi asked again. I also find it strange. There are no changes in the Jade Lake during this recovery of spiritual qi. Xian Tian shook his head. Jiang Xi nodded slightly. He had obtained an opportunity in the Jade Lake's secret realm and didn't want anything to happen there. There were no changes this time, so it must be related to an Aishan. Now that he thought about it, that majestic heaven-reaching tower was not simple. Big brother, are we flying in the wrong direction? It's 3 degrees off the route to the holy city, Li Bai suddenly said. Jiang Xi looked at Li Bai in surprise. He could see that. He was really a genius. We're not in a hurry to go to the holy city now. Before you came, I received new news that the situation there has changed. Xian Tian laughed. Change? Jiang Xi and Li Bai were confused. Xian Tian continued, yes, we're not the only ones who noticed the changes in the Millennium Holy City. Many powerhouses and demons were also attracted there. Since last night until now, there have been several big battles there. Although he said that, the two were still confused. The situation was so intense, so they should rush there as soon as possible. But their battles caused the holy city to change. The five-colored brilliance formed a barrier and shrouded the forbidden area where the 10,000-year-old spiritual creature was. That barrier can't be opened in a short time, Xian Tian explained. Jiang Xi and Li Baibai nodded thoughtfully. It seemed that there were many things hidden in the Millennium Holy City. Then where are we going now? Jiang Xi was a little curious. Sicily Island. Traveling? Previously, that flame dragon kept provoking Jiang Xi, and I couldn't stand it. This time, it's on the way. We'll go to its nest and help Jiang Xi vent his anger. Xian Tian laughed. That big lizard's nest is in Sicily Island? Jiang Xi was shocked. Someone once saw that the flame dragon landed on a volcano called Mount Etna in Sicily Island, and it's now fighting in the Holy City. We can take the opportunity to clean up its nest. Xian Tian nodded, looking very excited. Although Jiang Xi suspected that it was Xian Tian's funny nature, he was also looking forward to it and was eager to try. After being provoked by this big demon for so long, he also wanted to vent his anger. It wasn't anger, but it was just like having a mosquito buzzing next to you while you were sleeping. It was annoying. The three of them took advantage of the night and flew in the air. Their speed was naturally very fast. From Xian Tian City to Sicily Island, the straight-line distance was nearly 8,000 kilometers. With the speed of the three of them, they arrived at this beautiful island on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea in just half an hour. In the old era, this was a tourist destination. After the recovery of Spirit Qi, this place had become a paradise for monsters. Only the warriors of the Holy Alliance would sometimes come here to train. From the air, they could see that there were many monsters crawling in the ruined buildings on the island. From time to time, they would let out a bestial roar. Jiang Xi's destination was Mount Etna, which was located on the east coast of Sicily Island. Others might not know about the situation of Mount Etna, but Jiang Xi had studied Western mythology before and had heard a little about this place. This was an active volcano more than 3,000 meters above sea level. In Western mythology, it was the hermitage of the god of fire. Legend had it that the god of fire used the flames here to forge many divine artifacts. Chapter 210. Most of the myths and legends were illusory and unpredictable. The three of them just laughed it off, because the gods in Western myths and legends were most likely a group of cultivators. But when they approached Mount Etna, they put away their relaxed attitude. This volcano looked a little mysterious, revealing a kind of aura that made them fearful. The fire on the top of the mountain lit up the night sky, emitting an amazing temperature. No wonder that big lizard is so powerful. It's a fire-type demon. This kind of environment is the best place for it to cultivate. Jiang Xi said with some surprise. They used their spiritual sense to explore the volcano. Let's go and have a look. I found its nest. Xian Tian said. The three of them didn't hide their powerful aura and flew to the top of Mount Etna. The monsters living near the volcano all fled in all directions. The next moment, they flew to the top of the volcano. The temperature here is terrible. Even if an A-level martial artist came, it would be difficult to bear. Li Baibai looked serious. It was the recovery of Spirit Qi that made the environment here change greatly. Roar! At this time, a beast roar came from a cave full of volcanic magma on the top of the mountain. A crypt flame dragon with magma hanging on its body roared and rushed out. At the same time, it used its spiritual sense to express its anger. This is the territory of the Flame Dragon King, trespassers. Roar! This was a crypt flame dragon that was cultivated by a red-shelled earthworm, not the big lizard. However, this crypt flame dragon was not weak. It was a spirit nourishment demon. But even if it was a spirit nourishment demon, the crypt flame dragon was quickly extinguished. It didn't dare to say the word die. The magma and flames all over its body fell in clusters, shivering. Because it recognized the three of them. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, Li Baibai. The crypt flame dragon felt bitter. Any one of these three people could kill it with a slap. Boss, didn't you provoke them, saying that they are useless and don't have the guts to come? Now they are at our doorstep, and three of them at once. Roar, the crypt flame dragon roared again, and its spiritual sense conveyed a message of begging for mercy. Noisy. Li Bai shouted. Her sword flashed, and her figure disappeared. Almost instantly, the sword cut off half of the crypt flame dragon's head. In front of them, the powerful spirit nourishment stage great demon couldn't even live for 3 seconds. Sister Bai Bai's sword is even faster. Jiang Xi praised. Last time when she was training in the Jade Lake secret realm, she gained something and made a breakthrough in her swordsmanship, Xian Tian explained. Li Bai flashed back and said softly, this is the advanced version of the 9 elements sword art, the 8 elements sword art. If you want to learn, I can record a tutorial for you when we get back. She was talking to Jiang Xi. Thank you, big sister Bai. Jiang Xi did not decline. You're welcome. You were the one who provided me with the cultivation method of the Oris core stage. I should be the one thanking you. Li Bai shook his head. Both of them laughed. Jiang Xi was indeed interested in Li Bai's sword. This was because Li Bai's swordsmanship was very pure. There was nothing mixed into it. It only pursued extreme speed. Jiang Xi's swordsmanship had changed. He walked a different path. However, this did not prevent him from learning Li Bai's swordsmanship. This was the principle of gathering the wisdom of the masses and comprehending by analogy. Xian Tian did not interrupt. He used a saber, so swordsmanship was useless to him. Then, they turned their attention back to the flame dragon's lair and walked straight in. There should be good things in the lair of a gold core great demon, right? After all, this big lizard had lived for a long time. This big lizard's lair is actually so luxurious. As soon as they entered, their eyes were so dazzled that they almost went blind. Beside a magma pool with an astonishing temperature, there were piles of shiny gems, gold, and so on. It was like a small mountain. In Western mythology, the dragons were greedy. It was true. Unfortunately, these ordinary treasures are useless to us. Xian Tian shook his head. The things they needed could not be bought with these gems and gold. There's something underground. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. This was the benefit of his observation skills. With his spiritual sense, he had carefully explored with his spiritual sense as soon as he came in. Afterwards, he discovered that there was a blank area on the ground where his spiritual sense was probing. He slapped out with his palm and scattered the gems and gold, revealing a smooth rock underneath. At this time, a crack appeared in the rock, and a simple leather case could be seen hidden inside. This big lizard really knows how to hide things. If someone came in, they would definitely be attracted by the gems and gold and not think of continuing to look down. Jiang Xi laughed. At the same time, he grabbed the handle of the leather case and pulled it out of the rock. Open it and see what's inside. Xian Tian was quite expectant. Li Bai's eyes were also bright. Because this leather case was very strange, it could isolate their spiritual sense from probing. It seemed to be made of unknown beast skin. There's actually a spirit weapon. Jiang Xi was very surprised. After the case was opened, they saw that in addition to more than 30,000-year-old spirit fruits, there was also a long black saber glowing with a cold light. On the blade, there was a kind of shocking spiritual aura. The three people's gazes were attracted by the long saber, and they directly ignored the valuable 1,000-year-old spirit fruits. Spirit weapon? Li Bai was somewhat puzzled. She had only heard of spirit pills and spirit weapons, but not spirit weapons. Jiang Xi didn't hide it. With his current strength, there were many things that he didn't need to hide. He opened his mouth and explained, this is a low-grade spirit weapon. Its quality is dozens or hundreds of times higher than a spirit weapon, but it must be refined with spiritual sense to exert its power. This is a special weapon for cultivators? Xian Tian also asked. To be exact, generally only Oris core stage cultivators use low-grade spirit weapons. Jiang Xi nodded and added, I learned this from the trial in Heavenly Tower. He lied about this. In fact, he learned this from Daoist Ge's inherited memories. Xian Tian and Li Baibai suddenly understood and believed Jiang Xi's words. Then the two of them looked at each other, somewhat embarrassed. Who should use this saber? After all, it was Jiang Xi who discovered it. Jiang Xi smiled and said, Big brother uses a saber, let's give it to him. Xian Tian wasn't a pretentious person. He fell in love with this saber at first sight. He immediately grabbed the black long saber, his eyes bright, and smiled at Jiang Xi. You have to tell me the method to refine spirit weapons. No problem, I'll give you a copy. Jiang Xi nodded and agreed. It was a piece of cake. Next time, I'll find a chance to go to the lairs of other Aurus Core stage demons and see if I can get you two a spirit weapon long sword. Xian Tian held the long saber and said excitedly. I don't need it. Last time, I used the Aurus Core stage cultivation method to exchange for the long sword from you. It was also a low-grade spirit weapon. Jiang Xi smiled lightly. You brat. Xian Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It turned out that he already had such a treasure. Chapter 211. Xian Tian didn't complain about Jiang Xi either. After all, he wasn't good at appraising treasures. Li Baibai also smiled. She had a cold personality and rarely took the initiative to ask for things. She believed that if Xian Tian and Jiang Xi got a similar spiritual longsword in the future, they wouldn't forget about her. Finally, it was time to distribute the remaining 1,000-year-old spiritual items in the suitcase. Since Xian Tian already got a low-grade spiritual weapon, he didn't participate in the distribution of the spiritual items. There were a total of 32,000-year-old spiritual items. Jiang Xi and Li Baibai each took half. For Jiang Xi, he finally got something from this trip to the Flame Dragon's lair. He really needed these items to replenish his spiritual qi. Of course, if he could get another item, it would be a great harvest. When the three were dividing the Flame Dragon's property, they didn't expect that the Sacred Union had a satellite monitoring the situation on Mount Etna. After all, this was the Flame Dragon's lair, and the Flame Dragon was the only Golden Core great demon that had slaughtered a human city. They had to keep an eye on the Flame Dragon's movements. When Jiang Xi and the others appeared in the sky above Mount Etna, the satellite captured them. In an underground military base of the Sacred Union, a military martial artist in charge of monitoring Mount Etna suddenly stood up in shock. The three Golden Core powerhouses of the Great Xia Kingdom have come to our Western world. The cultivation realms after A-class had been deliberately spread by some people in the martial arts world. A big-nosed military officer quickly rushed over. After seeing the figures of Jiang Xi and the others on the screen, his face turned grim. Is the Flame Dragon still in the sacred city? He first asked another military martial artist. It's still here. Earlier, it joined forces with the Silver Wolf King to kill a Golden Core cultivator from the Alpha Star. The big-nosed military officer thought for a while and suddenly said decisively, broadcast the satellite image of Mount Etna to the outside world and broadcast it live. Colonel? Someone didn't understand. The Great Xia martial artists and the Flame Dragon are all our enemies. Let them fight it out first. It's best if both sides suffer, and let the powerhouses of the Sacred Union finish them off in one fell swoop. Colonel is wise. Everyone came to their senses. This was a tactic of driving the tiger to devour the wolf. Soon, the live broadcast of Mount Etna was broadcasted all over the world. Suddenly, the people of the world were shocked. The people of Great Xia were the happiest and most proud of this. 3 Gold Core realm cultivators traversed nearly 10,000 kilometers. They are going to cause a big commotion. Rumor has it that the holy city of the Holy Alliance is acting strangely. It is suspected that a peerless treasure has appeared. They are definitely heading for the holy city. Snatch! Snatch the treasure back. Trample the Western world and raise the prestige of our country. Is no one paying attention to where they are now? According to the live stream, that's the Flame Dragon's lair. Huh, didn't Flame Dragon say that Jiang Ci didn't dare to go to the Western world? This time, we went straight to its doorstep. Of course, there was also public knowledge. Although these three people are Golden Core experts of our Xia kingdom, they have rashly stepped into the Western world. They have completely provoked hatred for our Xia kingdom. I request for them to be strongly condemned. Make them apologize to the Western world. Justice was in the hearts of the people. The person who posted this comment was scolded by the entire internet. He immediately logged out of the internet and stopped playing, worried that someone would follow the internet cable to find him. This kind of person only dared to use the keyboard as a sword and pretend to be a hero. In reality, he was a pile of dog shit. The Western world was also abuzz about this. This is an invasion. Where are our peerless experts? Quickly go and kill these ugly invaders. Someone roared. They went to the Flame Dragon's lair. That's great. The peerless experts from the east quickly destroy that evil dragon. Someone was excited. At the same time, Flame Dragon, who was in the holy city, had received the news that its house had been robbed. It saw Flame Dragon, who was guarding its house, killed by Li Bai. Then, it saw Jiang Ci and the other two swagger into its house. To the prideful Flame Dragon, this was a great humiliation. Moreover, all the treasures it had accumulated over the past 1,000 years were buried in its house. There were many precious treasures. I hope they won't find that animal skin box. It would be too late to rush back now. The more it thought about it, the angrier the Flame Dragon became. The flames it spat out were hundreds of feet high. Jiang Ci, you cowardly eastern trash. You only dare to do such sneaky things. If you have the guts, come to the holy city. I will turn you into ashes. It thought that this was Jiang Ci's revenge. After all, it did not provoke Xian Tian and Li Bai. The scene of Flame Dragon's anger was transmitted to the outside world by a Golden Core expert in the holy city. Jiang Ci and the others soon received this hot news. Only then did they know that their whereabouts had been exposed. However, if they were exposed, then so be it. They were not afraid at all. Jiang Ci even used his tactical communications watch to take a virtual light video of himself. He threw the gems and gold into the volcanic magma. He said casually, "Okay, big lizard, wait for me in the holy city. We will be there soon." What kind of crap is this? In the end, the sound of him throwing the gems and gold could be heard. Then, he posted the video online. In a few seconds, it became the #1 trending topic on the internet. Therefore, the world was once again in an uproar. Almost everyone was shocked by Flame Dragon's collection. How long would it take to collect so many gems and gold? It was just that Jiang Ci was too wasteful. Couldn't he take them away? Why did he have to throw them into the volcanic magma? But then, everyone reacted. Were the three Golden Core experts from the east really going to the holy city? Flame Dragon happened to be in the holy city. There would be a good show to watch. Just as many people thought, when Flame Dragon saw this video, it was furious. Once again, its anger soared to the sky, and the entire holy city could hear its angry roar. Those gems and gold melted by the magma were secondary. They were just decorations to it. What made Flame Dragon's heart ache the most was that it saw the beast skin box at Riverward's feet and the spirit tool long saber in Xian Tian's hand. That was its most important collection. When it was still a small Flame Dragon, it came to Mount Etna for the first time. Then, it found the ancient animal skin box and the spiritual longsword at the top of the mountain. This kind of fortuitous encounter made it believe that Mount Etna was its destined blessed land. Therefore, it set up a home on the mountain. It had been almost 1,000 years. Now, its home was stolen by 3 thieves from the east. Roar! Jiang Ci, 3 trash from the east, you are dead. Its anger rose to the sky again. In the lair at the top of Mount Etna, the 3 quickly threw the gems and gold all over the ground into the magma and melted them all. Although Jiang Xi felt it was a pity, there was nothing he could do. He didn't want to expose that he had a storage ring. This leather box can block our spiritual sense detection. It doesn't look like an ordinary item. But we are about to go to the Millennium Holy City. It's inconvenient to take it with us, but it's a pity to leave it here. Li Bai frowned slightly. I don't want this thing. It's a hindrance when fighting. Xian Tian shook his head. Jiang Xi smiled and said, then give it to me. I will carry it. Chapter 212. Jiang Xi was still thinking about how to get this leather case, but he didn't expect that Xian Tian and Li Bai didn't want it. It saved him a lot of trouble. He had already roughly identified the material of this leather case. If he guessed correctly, this should be made from the skin of a nascent soul great demon. Therefore, it could isolate their spiritual senses from probing. This was a good thing, even more precious than the low-grade spirit saber. Although Jiang Xi was puzzled, he didn't know who was so extravagant to make the skin of a nascent soul great demon into a case so simply. But he didn't think too much about it, as long as he got the benefits. This beast skin case was nearly 2 meters long. If it was opened, the area would definitely not be small. Although he didn't have the conditions to use this skin to refine a spirit battle armor. But when he went back, he could simply cut it and make 2 armor vests. Wearing it on the body could also display the strong defensive effect of the beast skin. At that time, he and Jiang Daoda would each have one. The strongest defense was stable. At the current stage, there shouldn't be any gold core cultivators who could break through the defense of a nascent soul cultivator. Then, now we should go to that holy city. The 3 of them stood on the mountaintop and looked in the direction of the 1,000-year-old holy city. In the old era, the 1,000-year-old holy city was a transcendent place. After the arrival of the new era, it became the Holy Land of the Holy Alliance. Late last night, the forbidden area of the holy city suddenly appeared with a 5-colored brilliance. It was like a holy light that illuminated the land, making the holy city appear incomparably sacred. A 10,000-year spirit item caused the wind and clouds to gather here. The holy city was stained with blood. In several great battles, gold core experts fell here. After their deaths, their corpses and blood emitted a baleful aura that didn't dissipate for a long time. This was only a visual shock. Only those who were truly powerful would be able to experience the terror of the holy city. This seemingly sacred holy city faintly emitted an aura. Even gold core cultivators trembled in fear. Therefore, after Jiang Xi and the other 2 flew here from the sky, they didn't get close. They landed on the ground and walked forward. They also felt that kind of frightening aura. Intuition told them that flying above the holy city would be dangerous. We can't underestimate the heritage of the Western world. Xian Tian's expression was solemn. Their inheritance is also thousands of years old. There must be something hidden. Jiang Xi nodded. Li Bai was not a talkative person, but he had a serious expression on his face. It had just drizzled, so the air was slightly fresh and filled with a faint mist. The 3 of them walked side by side on the bluestone floor towards the entrance of the holy city. At the entrance, a blond man stopped them. He was a spirit-gathering cultivator from the Western world. Stop! You're not allowed to enter this place. They didn't know where he got the courage to block their way. Scram! Xian Tian shouted coldly. The golden-haired man's face paled, and he quickly retreated. Jiang Xi understood that this person must have been instructed by someone to block their way. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to not recognize the 3 of them. Big brother, I think Jiang Xi is right. We shouldn't waste our breath on things that can be solved with our fists. Li Bai said expressionlessly. Just now, it was etiquette. Now, it's war. Xian Tian's gaze swept across the holy city. The eyes hidden in those buildings didn't dare to continue to spy on them, and they all disappeared. The 3 of them entered the city and walked towards the forbidden area of the holy city. This holy city was larger than the old era. After the establishment of the Holy Alliance, A large area around it was directly unified and divided into the new holy city. The old holy city that was less than half a square kilometer had become the forbidden area of the holy city. It was also the place that was covered by the barrier formed by the colorful brilliance. Jiang Xi maintained his usual good habits. When he arrived at a new place, he would observe the surroundings. After a round of investigation with his spiritual sense, he found that the ordinary people here had been moved to other places. Only the cultivators and great demons were left. At this time, there was no big battle. It seemed that after the few battles last night, these people and demons also needed to rest. Hello, 3 guests from the east. When they passed by a wide alley, a handsome white young man walked out of the alley and greeted the 3 of them in a gentlemanly manner. Chris? Li Bai frowned slightly. Beautiful Miss Li Bai, it's my honor that you still remember me after 30 years. Chris was very surprised. Xian Tian also seemed to recognize who this person was. Only Jiang Xi was confused. He didn't know who this person was. This person called Chris was at the early stage of the Golden Core realm. His breath was a little unstable. It seemed that he had just broken through to this realm recently. Because they didn't know whether he was a friend or a foe, Jiang Xi didn't say anything. What's the matter? Li Bai didn't plan to chat with Chris, and asked directly. Li Bai and I are old friends. I knew that the 3 of you were coming. Considering that you might not be familiar with the environment here, I purposely waited here to be your guide. Chris was very enthusiastic. Jiang Xi and Xian Tian looked at Li Bai with a questioning gaze. He is a hidden powerhouse of the Shadow Kingdom. 30 years ago, he went to Ruin number 06 to hunt monsters. We cooperated there and hunted a few Class A monsters. Li Bai explained. Xian Tian nodded and let Li Bai make the decision. Then we'll have to trouble you. Please take us directly to the forbidden area of the sacred city. Li Bai said to Chris. Please follow me. Clichy snapped his fingers and led the way. Looking at his back, Jiang Xi and the other 2 looked at each other and nodded slightly. They didn't let down their guard. They had the strength of the Golden Core realm. However, there were quite a number of Golden Core realm cultivators gathered in the sacred city. With Chris leading the way, they could find out more about the situation. The 3 of them followed Chris and soon went deep into the city. After walking for more than 10 kilometers, they should be almost at the forbidden area of the sacred city. 3 guests from the east, we're here. Chris turned around and smiled brightly. However, Jiang Xi and the other 2 didn't say anything. This was a dead end. Not far away, they could see the tall walls of the forbidden area of the sacred city and the colorful barrier. However, it was obvious that this was not the entrance to the forbidden area. Jiang Xi smiled. The fox finally showed its tail. Chris, what do you want to do? Li Bai asked with a serious face. She had a glimmer of hope for this old comrade of hers. Now, the last glimmer of hope disappeared. I want you to die. As long as you die, the sky of the Xia kingdom will collapse. Chris laughed wildly. Boom! Boom! Another 2 figures with shocking aura appeared. They were also in the early stage of the Golden Core realm. It was a fire dragon with fiery red scales and a silver-haired wolf howling in the moon. Fire Dragon and Silver Wolf King. This was a premeditated ambush. The 3 of you will die here today. Fire Dragon spat out fire from its mouth. It was furious. It saw Jiang Xi carrying its leather box on his back and Xian Tian holding its black long sword. That was its family property. Of course, it was furious. Chapter 213. Jiang Xi ignored the roar of the flame dragon. Instead, he stared at Clichy. Compared to the angry lizard, he wanted to kill this little guy more. I hate two-faced people like you the most. Jiang Xi pointed his sword at Clichy. I have no choice. Your Xia kingdom is too strong. I have to do this. I have to kill the three of you. Only then can we have a chance to surpass the Xia kingdom. Clichy shrugged helplessly. His tone was full of pride. You are so confident? Li Bai asked coldly. Obviously, we have 3 Golden Core Realm cultivators, and you only have 2. No matter how powerful Jiang Xi is, he is only in the spirit gathering realm. His means are not as good as a real Golden Core Realm cultivator. So, the 3 of you must die today. Beautiful Miss Li Bai, I hope you won't hate me after you die. Clichy's face was full of a sunny smile. Humph. Jiang Xi snorted. The gale intent suddenly appeared. The gale whistled. His figure flashed, and he flew out with the sword light. His speed was far beyond the early Golden Core realm. He attacked without saying anything. Why waste time talking? Fuck. Clichy's face changed. His sunny smile disappeared. At the same time, he made a counterattack. But before he could lift his sword, puff! The Abyss Condensation Sword, a low-grade spiritual weapon, pierced his heart with the gale. He was only in the early Golden Core realm. His strength was not even as good as the Ironback Golden Centipede. How could he dodge Jiang Xi's speed? One-hit kill. This was karma. A spirit-gathering realm cultivator would still kill you. You killed an early Golden Core realm cultivator. Experience points plus 1000, Jiang Xi sheathed his sword. It took less than 0.1 seconds to kill one person. At this time, the Flame Dragon and the Silver Wolf King just reacted. They let Jiang Xi kill their people in front of them. The 2 Golden Core realm demons both roared. You are courting death. Roar! The Flame Dragon spat out a mouthful of blazing flames, attacking riverward. Similarly, the Silver Wolf King that wanted to kill Jiang Xi was stopped by Shen Tian and Li Bai. Jiang Xi was facing the Flame Dragon alone. His heart was as calm as still water, and he was very calm. He was already prepared to take action at any time. The spirit energy in his entire body surged, and with a light swing of the profound condensation sword, the Gale True Meaning was activated once more. With a flash of sword light, a strong gust of wind rushed towards the red flames. Boom! The huge explosion caused by the collision set off a violent shockwave that swept through the space. Surprisingly, the seemingly ordinary floor tiles and buildings of the holy city were completely undamaged. Not simple. However, at this moment, they didn't have the time to care about this. Battle. With just one strike, the man and the demon had displayed their formidable strength. Within the holy city, the other cultivators and great demons were using their spiritual senses to observe the area. Seeing this scene, they were completely shocked by Jiang Xi's strength. This young man from the east was too strong. He was only in the spirit nourishment realm, yet he was able to fight against the Gold Core realm. After exchanging blows once, Jiang Xi was slightly surprised. The Flame Dragon's strength was much stronger than the Ironback Centipede from last time. He thought about it and understood the reason. This giant lizard's cultivation was only at the early stage of the Golden Core realm. However, it had lived for many years and had rich combat experience, so its actual combat strength could barely reach the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. However, even if it was at the middle stage of the Golden Core realm, Jiang Xi was not afraid. He was about to take the initiative to attack. However, at this moment, a red figure flew over like lightning and arrived in front of them in an instant. With a wave of his hand, powerful spiritual energy surged and set off waves of air, forcing Jiang Xi and the 2 great demons to stop their attacks. This person was very strong. It was an old man in a red robe. He had silver hair and a very kind face. Jesus! The Flame Dragon was obviously a little afraid. Both it and the Silver Wolf King were vigilant as they looked at the kind old man. Pope of the Holy City, Jesus. Jiang Xi's eyes flashed. He also recognized the old man's origin. Jesus was the leader of the Holy City in the new era and was quite famous. However, he did not expect that Jesus was also a powerful golden core cultivator. Jesus smiled and said, "The barrier of the holy city's forbidden area is about to open. Can you give me face and stop fighting for a while? Let's go." The flame dragon and the silver wolf king snorted, then stared at Jiang Xi fiercely and turned to leave. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai also looked at each other. This fight was definitely not going to continue. They also planned to leave first. Unexpectedly, Jesus stopped them. "The three of you, please wait." The three of them looked at Jesus in confusion. "What's the matter?" Xian Tian asked in a low voice. They did not want to have too much to do with this pope, because they all found that Jesus was a little mysterious. The move that stopped them just now seemed to have merged with the holy city. It was very powerful. Jesus smiled and said, "The three of you are all golden core cultivators of the human race. This time, there are abnormal movements in the forbidden area of the holy city. The 10,000-year-old spiritual object has caused chaos. I want to ask the three of you to help me break the colorful barrier covering the forbidden area and quell the crisis of the holy city. Do you think we will help you?" Xian Tian asked. "You are here for the 10,000-year-old spiritual object in the forbidden area. If the barrier is not broken, you can't get it. So, it is better to work together and break the barrier first." Jesus' smile did not change. This reason was very good. Jiang Xi and the others did not continue to refuse. They nodded and followed Jesus to the forbidden area not far away. When they arrived at the entrance, they found that Jesus had invited more than the three of them. Basically, all the cultivators and monsters gathered in the holy city were here. After a rough count, there were more than 50 of them. Among them, there were about 10 in the golden core stage, and the rest were in the spirit nurturing stage. Jiang Xi also saw a familiar figure. The dragon python of the E-Mountain secret realm. This monster had also reached the golden core stage. At this time, the dragon python, who had shrunk 100 times in size, was accompanied by a black tortoise of the same size. It was also in the golden core stage. Jiang Xi nodded slightly to the dragon python. They had met last time. At that time, this terrifying monster wanted to kill him but was stopped by Qin Qi. When they met again, he was no longer the A-level warrior who was chased by the dragon python. Now that they were in the same position and were both from the Great Xia Kingdom, it was a good time to say hello. The dragon python was very cold and unmoved. On the contrary, the black tortoise next to him grinned at Jiang Xi as if it was smiling. Jiang Xi felt a little strange. Had he seen this black tortoise before? But he still smiled. Then, Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai observed the forbidden area of the holy city together. They saw that the barrier formed by the colorful brilliance was like an inverted bowl. It enveloped the forbidden area of the holy city, which was less than half a square kilometer, and there was a thin mist flowing inside. In the middle of the forbidden area, there was a small tree about 3 meters tall. The leaves of the small tree were crystal green and there were 4 tempting crystal fruits hanging on the branches, swaying. This was a mature 10,000-year-old spiritual item. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai's eyes lit up and they looked at each other. They had to fight for it. They were very clear that at this stage, everyone's cultivation had just entered the golden core stage. Whoever got the 10,000-year-old spiritual item, their strength might advance by leaps and bounds and be ahead of others. Chapter 2:14. While Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai were observing the situation at the entrance, the golden core and spirit nurturing cultivators, as well as the big demons, were also looking at the three of them with fear. They had all observed the scene of Jiang Xi killing Krishna and fighting the flame dragon with their spiritual senses. Among the dozen or so golden core cultivators present, only a few were confident that they could block Jiang Xi's sword. But there were exceptions. A middle-aged man with a pale and stiff face stared at Jiang Xi's back, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. There was also a skinny old monk who seemed to be resting with his eyes closed. But when Jiang Xi and the others arrived, his eyelids twitched. This time, Jiang Xi's sharp spiritual senses were not working, so he did not notice this. The more than 50 cultivators and big demons did not say much, and just waited quietly. The flame dragon and the silver wolf king also came from another place. No one wanted to miss the 10,000-year-old spiritual item in the forbidden area. Pope Jesus seemed to be emitting holy light, which was faintly compatible with the sacred city. He stood in front of the entrance and said to all the cultivators and big demons, "I know you are all here for the 10,000-year-old spiritual item. I will not stop you with the treasure in front of you. But I only have one request. Do not destroy the buildings in the sacred city, or don't blame me for being rude." The cultivators and the great demons all had tense faces. They didn't say anything, but they all listened to Hessus's words. Obviously, they had seen Pope Jesus's strength before. With some kind of mysterious connection with the sacred city, Pope Jesus's strength was definitely one of the top few people. "Now, please work together to open this 5-colored barrier." Pope Jesus shouted, and a powerful aura suddenly burst out. Then, he slapped his palm first, and a huge palm formed by holy light suddenly fell on the 5-colored barrier. Boom boom. The shocking power was like thunder, and the 5-colored barrier trembled a little. It actually trembled. "Quick, let's work together," an early-stage golden core cultivator said excitedly. Immediately, the cultivators and greater demons gathered at the entrance attacked at the same time, unleashing all kinds of attacks. Saber lights, sword shadows, lightning flashes, thunder rolls, flames, astral winds, and so on all attacked the 5-colored barrier. These powerful attacks could definitely turn a golden core stage cultivator into nothingness. Crack crack crack, cracks began to appear on the seemingly indestructible 5-colored barrier like glass. "Break!" Hessus roared, and the holy light on his body became clear. The white light blazed and instantly condensed into a holy light spear. He grabbed the spear of holy light and threw it at the cracked 5-colored barrier. Crash! A large hole appeared in the 5-colored barrier. The crowd and the demons were pleasantly surprised and shocked. The pleasant surprise was that the forbidden area had been opened. What shocked him was that Jesus's strength had definitely surpassed the middle stage of gold core. He was much stronger than they had imagined. "Ha, the 10,000-year-old spiritual item is mine." When everyone was shocked, a spirit-gathering cultivator actually reacted the fastest and rushed directly to the broken hole excitedly. A mere spirit-gathering cultivator dares to be presumptuous. The fleshy wings of the flame dragon flapped, and a blade-like flame flew out and fell directly on the excited spirit-gathering cultivator. Puff! The man didn't even have time to scream before he turned into ashes. The ferocious and bloodthirsty flame dragon shocked those spirit-gathering cultivators and greater demons. But who would be willing to give up the treasure in front of them? Moreover, this was a 10,000-year-old spiritual item. As long as one could get one of the 4 fruits, they might be able to reach the golden core stage. "It can't kill all of us, let's take advantage of the chaos," some other spirit-gathering cultivators shouted. Suddenly, more than 40 spirit-gathering cultivators and greater demons rushed to the hole in the 5-colored barrier. Indeed, as he said, no matter how ferocious the flame dragon was, it couldn't kill everyone in an instant. Soon, everyone rushed in. The fiery dragon roared angrily. Rolling up the flames, it also flashed and entered. let's go in too," Xian Tian shouted in a low voice. Immediately, the 3 of them passed through the 5-colored barrier side by side. At this time, the other golden core cultivators and greater demons didn't fall behind, and they all displayed their fastest speed. They were not afraid of the spirit-gathering cultivators fighting for it, but they were afraid of the golden core cultivators fighting for it. Whoosh! In less than a breath, everyone entered the forbidden area of the sacred city. Jesus was the last one to go in. In the chaos, no one noticed that before Jesus passed through the 5-colored barrier. With a wave of his hand, the broken hole was restored as before. And he easily passed through the complete 5-colored barrier without any hindrance. Kill! A group of excited spirit-gathering cultivators and great demon beasts rushed into the forbidden area and immediately wanted to rush to the small tree. Then, everyone was stunned. Because the scene in front of them was completely different from what they saw outside. The forbidden area inside the five-colored barrier was actually a dim and barren space. Only in the depths of the space, there was a white holy light illuminating an area. And what emitted the holy light was a withered small tree, less than 1 meter high. On the trunk of the small tree, there was only one branch with a crystal green leaf. How was this a 10,000-year-old spiritual object? It was obviously a spiritual object that was about to wither. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, a group of golden core cultivators and greater demons also rushed in and were also shocked by the scene in front of them. Where was the 10,000-year-old spiritual object? Jiang Ci also instantly became alert and spread out his spiritual sense. Then, he found that his spiritual sense couldn't penetrate the holy light emitted by the withered small tree. It was a little strange. Big brother, sister bye-bye, be careful. The holy light looks sacred, but it seems to reveal a kind of gloominess. Jiang Ci reminded in a low voice. Xian Tian and Li Baibai nodded with a solemn expression. They also noticed it, but they weren't as sharp as Jiang Ci's spiritual sense. There seemed to be something wrong with this matter. Was it a camouflage or something? Jiang Ci vaguely guessed something in his heart. This should be some kind of spatial array. It was somewhat similar to the Palace of Tomorrow in the Fengdu secret realm. The palace had a limited area, but it hid an endless barren space. The array here should have the same effect, but the scale was much smaller. From the outside of the five-colored barrier, the forbidden area of the holy city was less than half a square kilometer, but after entering, it was a big space. However, Jiang Ci didn't know what kind of spatial array it was. Although he had sorted out and comprehended Daoist Ge's inheritance memory many times, he didn't study the array in depth. In addition, he couldn't figure out why the small tree had changed so much. He vaguely felt that there seemed to be another array in this space, and it should be related to the small tree. Before Jiang Ci could start to investigate. At this moment, someone suddenly said, "This is the root of a 10,000-year-old spiritual object. When it matures, it will bear a 10,000-year-old spiritual object fruit. What we saw outside should be its mature appearance." The person who spoke was actually Jesus. Chapter 2:15. Jesus was the Pope of the sacred city, but he took the initiative to reveal this information. What was his purpose? But at this time, no one thought about it, because his words were like a fire, igniting the greed of the cultivators and the big demons again. They all looked at the withered tree full of holy light with red eyes. All the cultivators and big demons present had been through hundreds of battles. Everyone knew very well that there were originally 4 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits, so they had a better chance of getting the fruit. But at this time, there was only one 10,000-year-old spiritual root. It must belong to the one who lived to the end. The war was about to break out. Boom! Some demons started to attack directly. Kill! The 10,000-year-old spiritual root is mine. A big demon at the spirit-gathering stage roared with his soul sense and attacked the cultivators next to him. Puff! Puff! The next moment, several powerful attacks directly tore its huge body apart, and it died. Those who block me will die. Roar! The fierce scuffle was accompanied by roars and fighting sounds. More than 40 cultivators at the spirit-gathering stage were killed in just a moment. At the same time, the gold core stage also started to fight. Cultivators and big demons were no longer divided into camps. They all had the purpose of killing other people and demons. For a time, this forbidden space was filled with thunder, wind, and clouds, as if it was the end of the world. What was shocking was that the dragon python and the black tortoise from the territory of the Xia kingdom were also very powerful. Although their cultivation was at the early stage of the gold core stage, under the joint efforts of the two big demons, dark clouds and black rain, directly strangled a big demon at the gold core stage of the Western world. The moment they attacked, all the cultivators and great demons were intimidated. Jiang Xie, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai were standing together at this time, and they didn't take the initiative to attack. Seeing this scene, they were also shocked. The dragon python and the black tortoise were indeed the demons in myths and legends. Jiang Xie, go to hell. But at this time, a furious roar sounded. The flame dragon in the distance directly attacked Jiang Xie. Raging red flames were spat out from its mouth. The temperature was so hot that it seemed to be able to melt everything. Hey! Jiang Xie was not afraid of it at all. I was just looking for you. The sword light of the profound condensation sword flashed and swept towards the flames of the flame dragon. At the side, Xian Tian and Li Baibai wanted to help. However, another huge white figure with a powerful aura suddenly flashed and arrived. It was the Silver Wolf King. Xian Tian and Li Baibai were famous in the human martial arts world, but they seemed to be useless against the Silver Wolf King. Roar! Your opponent is me. The Silver Wolf King bared its fangs fiercely at the two of them. It was originally a spirit-nurturing stage wolf howling in the moon. 3 months ago, it cultivated into the gold core stage during the spiritual aura recovery. The howling in the moon wolf was at least 100 meters long. However, the Silver Wolf King was only 10 meters tall. This was because after reaching the golden core stage, its spiritual energy would be refined and condensed. Its body size would also shrink, and its strength would become even stronger. Bye-bye, this beast is mine. Go and help Jiang Xie. Xian Tian stepped forward with an excited expression on his face. Li Baibai was helpless. She said that she would let her attack first, but until now, she had not even moved her sword once. However, she also knew that the most important thing now was to help Jiang Xie. Her figure flashed, and she was about to rush over. The Silver Wolf King opened its bloody mouth and spat out a white light wave, trying to stop Li Baibai. However, Li Baibai ignored it and quickly passed through its obstruction. Huh, beast! Take this! Xian Tian laughed and slashed with his sword. The sword light was sharp and directly scattered the white light wave. At this time, Xian Tian's cells were boiling. After reaching the golden core stage for several months, he could finally sharpen his sword against a real golden core stage demon. The undead creatures in the Jade Lake secret realm did not count, because he was still in the spirit nurturing stage. How could it be better to defeat a strong opponent than to crush a strong one? Roar! The Silver Wolf King raised its head and roared, but it did not stop Li Baibai. Puny human, you are only food for the demon race. The golden core stage demon's aura suddenly exploded, and it pounced towards Xian Tian. Demons had strong bodies and preferred to fight with their bodies. Humph! Xian Tian snorted angrily, and a shocking true meaning of saber condensed in an instant. He was using the black saber that he had just obtained from the flame dragon's lair. Even if it was not refined, the quality of an inferior grade spiritual weapon was at least 10 times higher than an ordinary spiritual weapon. Slash! The saber seemed to be able to cut through the sky as it slashed out. The domineering aura made the Silver Wolf King's fur tremble. Oh no! It knew that it had to go all out, or it would be very dangerous. Its white fur lit up with a white light, condensing into a layer of protective light. Awoe! The Silver Wolf King roared. At the same time, it waved its giant claws that were suffused with white light, and slapped towards Xian Tian's saber. Die, human! Crack! Under the enhancement of the protective light, its sturdy giant claws could only cause a slight obstruction before it could no longer block the powerful saber. The wolf claws that were larger than millstones were chopped to the ground, and a ferocious aura spread out. Awoe! The Silver Wolf King howled and did not dare to fight anymore. It wanted to escape, but it was stopped by Xian Tian. It could only brace itself and face the attack once more. However, there was no way it could escape in this space. At the same time, Li Baibai was unable to help Jiang Xie in the end. She was stopped by a bearded golden core cultivator from the Sacred Alliance. Faced with another obstruction, Li Baibai was furious and attacked brazenly. Her sword was as fast as the stars, and she had the upper hand. However, she vaguely felt that they were being targeted. The Flame Dragon, the Silver Wolf King, and the Golden Core Cultivator from the Sacred Alliance were so coordinated. It was chaos in the forbidden space. Jiang Xi was not worried about the battle between Shen Tian and Li Baibai. He only glanced at them and turned his attention back to the Flame Dragon in front of him. No need to look anymore. No one can help you this time. I was already at the Golden Core stage 300 years ago. I have been sleeping since then. Coincidentally, with the revival of Spirit Qi, my strength has become even stronger. This world will be my era. The Flame Dragon's voice was like the ringing of a bell. It was arrogant, as if it was looking down on the world. Don't talk nonsense. You're still so confident. Haven't you been taught a lesson by an old Taoist for 300 years? Jiang Xi retorted. Oh whoa. You're courting death. The Flame Dragon roared. Its sore spot had been poked. Its giant wings flapped violently, and at the same time, flames spewed out. The wind helped the flames, and the power of the red flames increased by 30%. Little fire-breathing lizard Jiang Xi did not stop talking, but his hands did not relax either. The profound condensation sword continuously slashed out powerful sword light. At the same time, with the help of the wind, his body flashed and approached the Flame Dragon. After the sword light dispersed the flame breath of the Flame Dragon, Jiang Xi also came to the front of the Flame Dragon. He wanted to fight in close combat. Because the Flame Dragon was very strong. It barely had the combat power of the middle stage of Golden Core. At this stage, it was definitely a top Golden Core powerhouse. Since the Flame Dragon always breathed fire at him, it was obvious that the Flame Dragon had the upper hand. However, if it was close combat, the Flame Dragon's body was bigger, and its flexibility was definitely not as good as his. That was his advantage. Ah, you are only at the spirit gathering stage. Without the protective light, you dare to fight me in close combat. The Flame Dragon laughed loudly. The spiritual power of the Golden Core stage had completed the transformation. It could construct a layer of protective light to enhance the defense. This was also one of the means of the Golden Core stage to crush the spirit gathering stage. Chapter 2:16. Ah, you are only at the spirit gathering stage. How dare you fight me in close combat without a protective light? The Flame Dragon laughed loudly. The spiritual power of the Gold Core stage had completed the transformation and could construct a layer of protective light to enhance the defense. This was also one of the means of crushing the spirit gathering stage in the Gold Core stage. In the face of the Flame Dragon's ridicule, Jiang Xi just sneered, "Ha." The spiritual power of the whole body was running in a special way, and a thin layer of purple light covered the whole body. At the same time, accompanied by gusts of wind, circling around the body, filled with inexplicable Tao rhyme. A purple protective light. What? The Flame Dragon was shocked. Using the means of the Gold Core stage in the spirit gathering stage? It must be fake. Go to hell. The Flame Dragon didn't believe it. With a roar, the red protective light of the whole body was like a flame, with a temperature of thousands of degrees, as if it could melt steel. The huge fleshy wings were like flaming scythes, waving at Jiang Xi. It can't be fake. Jiang Xi seemed casual, and the profound condensation sword instantly attacked. The Tao rhyme spread, and the long sword condensed into a layer of sword shadow that seemed to be able to penetrate everything. He used the sword intent at the beginning. Poof! The profound condensation sword pierced through the fleshy wings of the Flame Dragon, and the power of the sword shadow broke a big bloody hole on it. Roar! The Flame Dragon roared in pain. The other fleshy wings with flames fell on Jiang Xi's side like lightning. Clang! It was like hitting a shield, and it didn't break the defense. Impossible! The Flame Dragon opened its eyes wide in disbelief. With its strength, the blow just now could definitely easily kill a spirit-gathering stage cultivator, and even a gold core stage cultivator would be injured. But Jiang Xi blocked it easily. What shocked it even more was that Jiang Xi's protective light was even stronger than its own. Is this the spirit-gathering stage? Nothing is impossible, come again. Jiang Xi was in high spirits. This battle was much more refreshing than the time when he killed the iron-backed golden centipede. His protective light was indeed condensed by the spiritual power. Although he hadn't formed the gold core yet, his 100 refining method had completed 1/10. That was 10 times, 10,000 hammers. Under this kind of tempering, his spiritual energy had already undergone a transformation. Furthermore, the degree of transformation was absolutely not inferior to the early Aurus core stage. Therefore, he was able to rely on his spiritual energy to display the protective light, a technique that was only available after reaching the golden core stage. Other than that, he had also integrated the Gale True Intent into his protective light. His defensive capabilities were not something an ordinary golden core stager could compare with. Cultivation level, Spirit Accumulation, Late Stage 8820088200, Tao Techniques, True Intent of Gale, 500,000/500,000, Sword Intent, 820-5861 Amplitude, 16. 591 Deduction, 10,000 EXP per use Cultivation Method, Purple Cloud Sword Manual, Peacock Visualization Experience, 9, 77 million, through the panel, it could be seen. Through another 3 months of secluded cultivation, his comprehension level towards Sword True Intent already reached over 80%. The amplification of spiritual power was more than 16 times. After using the Sword Intent, the strength of 1 unit of spiritual energy was equivalent to 16,591 times of the original. Furthermore, Jiang Xi's spiritual energy had already begun to transform. The strength of his spiritual energy was even higher than the early Aurus core stage. Therefore, others might think that he was only at the late spirit accumulation stage, but in reality, even if he was at the middle Aurus core stage, he would not be afraid. This was where Jiang Xi's confidence lay, in his fearlessness towards the flame dragon. He wantonly displayed his strength, completely suppressing the flame dragon. Furthermore, the profound condensation sword was also a low-grade spiritual weapon, much more powerful than the flame dragon's body. With this, the flame dragon gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. The flame dragon was anxious, and its raging flames rose. It was confident that it could fight against the middle Aurus core stage, but now it was going to lose to a human cultivator at the late spirit accumulation stage. Impossible, you're just a spirit accumulation stage human, no matter how strong you are, you can't defeat me. The flame dragon's angry roar echoed in this space. It realized that it could not do anything to Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi could break its protective light, but it could not break Jiang Xi's. What made it even more annoyed was that Jiang Xi's movement technique was very agile, and it was difficult for it to catch Jiang Xi. Don't take my benevolence as your capital to be arrogant. After provoking me for so long, is this all you've got? Facing the flame dragon's angry roar, Jiang Xi was very calm, and his mouth mocked mercilessly. The profound condensation sword light and sword shadows constantly slashed across the flame dragon's body, leaving behind horrifying wounds. Therefore, the flame dragon was even more furious. It's time to end this. Jiang Xi had already noticed that there were many gazes gathered here. If they continued to fight, there might be people who wanted to take advantage of the situation and come up to interfere. Sword Intent. Although Jiang Xi was carrying an animal skin box, his movements were not affected. The sword light flashed, and the profound condensation sword's Taoist rhyme seemed to be able to affect the surrounding space, making the flame dragon feel a piercing chill. Roar! Damn Easterner! The flame dragon was shocked, and it spat out red flames from its mouth. It wanted to make the first move to gain the upper hand, so it used all its trump cards. Kill! However, Jiang Xi ignored it and swung his sword. The sword shadow that was almost the size of the sword suddenly pierced through space and arrived in front of the crazy flame dragon. Chi! The sword's shadow pierced through the flame dragon's head. It was a one-hit kill. Its flame breath and protective light were of no use at all. You killed an early-stage golden core flame dragon, experience points plus 1000. At the same time, Jiang Xi activated the Gale True Intent and flashed continuously, dodging the flame breath. Boom! The flame dragon fell to the ground, and the blood that flowed out was like lava, emitting an extremely high temperature. A powerful golden core great demon died just like that. In the distance, the cultivators and great demons were shocked when they saw this scene, and they looked at Jiang Xi in horror. Too powerful. It was beyond everyone's expectations. One had to know that the flame dragon had already proven its strength in the few battles last night. It joined forces with the Silver Wolf King and successfully killed a golden core cultivator from planet Alpha. However, even such a powerful flame dragon was killed by Jiang Xi's sword. That Jiang Xi is strange. Not only is his spiritual energy strong, but the sword in his hand is also not an ordinary item. That's why he can suppress the flame dragon in terms of attack. Someone analyzed. There were also people who observed the battle between the Xian Tian and the Silver Wolf King and secretly asked with greed, also, the black saber that Xian Tian is using looks different from the spiritual weapons we use. What kind of weapons are they using? Even though everyone was tempted by the weapons in Jiang Xi and Xian Tian's hands, no one dared to make a move. Because they did not dare to underestimate the combat power displayed by Jiang Xi and the other two. At this moment, the skinny old monk was staring at the spiritual weapons in Jiang Xi and Xian Tian's hands. He did not hide the greed in his eyes, and he did not look like a Buddhist cultivator at all. Just now, he killed a few spirit-nurturing stage demons with a wave of his hand. Since then, no cultivator or demon dared to challenge him. It seems that the inheritance of the people of Xia is almost broken. That kid called Xian Tian actually did not refine the spiritual weapon after obtaining it. This is a chance for me. If I can obtain a spiritual weapon, my strength will at least double. Then, I will be invincible in this world. He was the old monk who had awakened from the ruins of the ancient pagoda in Peacock Country. Because his cultivation method was special, he had lived for a long time and had seen many things. Therefore, he had a deep understanding of spiritual weapons, but he had never obtained one before. Compared to the sword in Jiang Xi's hand, he felt that Xian Tian's saber was easier to obtain and easier to refine. Thinking of this, the old monk Imo-Tuo's figure flashed and disappeared into thin air. What was surprising was that the surrounding cultivators and great demons did not notice his disappearance at all. Chapter 217. Well done. On the other side, Xian Tian cheered loudly when he saw Jiang Xi finish off the flame dragon. He also strengthened his attack to finish off the Silver Wolf King. Although the spiritual saber in his hand had not been refined, he could completely crush the Silver Wolf King in the early stage of Golden Core with his own strength. In fact, the Silver Wolf King could not hold on any longer. Xian Tian did not kill it immediately. He just wanted to use it to sharpen his saber. Whoa! The Silver Wolf King was terrified. It wanted to escape but also wanted to beg for mercy. Weren't you quite fierce just now? Xian Tian was not confused by it. Poochie! The saber fell. The saber shadow swept past the Silver Wolf King's neck. The huge wolf head fell to the ground. Golden Core stage, so this is it. Xian Tian expressed the same feeling as Jiang Xi. Whoosh! But at this moment, the skinny old monk quietly appeared behind Xian Tian. He did not say anything. He waved his hand and formed a golden fist, smashing it at Xian Tian's back. This was a sneak attack. Old monks are unreasonable now. Xian Tian turned around and slashed back, not afraid of him at all. The saber shadow and the fist collided. Boom! Boom! The fierce collision of auras swept out, shocking the people hiding in the dark. Who was this old monk? His strength was actually on par with Xian Tian's. He is A Peacock Country's spirit vessel stage cultivator seemed to remember something. Then he exclaimed, "Mo Toa." A Buddhist monk from 1,000 years ago who later changed to Brahmin and became the high priest of Brahmin. I didn't expect him to still be alive after 1,000 years. Mo Toa was not an ordinary person. 1,000 years ago, he was a practitioner of ancient yoga. He was very famous in the history of Peacock Country. After the World Chi revival, Peacock Country once dug up the things left by Mo Toa, so there were still people who knew of his existence. On the other side, Jiang Xi and Xian Tian also heard that person's exclamation. No wonder. This old man doesn't look like a Buddhist. The greed in his eyes is 100 times stronger than a normal person's. Xian Tian's expression was solemn. An old fellow who had lived for 1,000 years would definitely have a lot of tricks up his sleeves. He was definitely not easy to deal with. Give me your saber and I'll spare your life. Mo Toa stared at Xian Tian's saber. It turns out that after living for 1,000 years, you can become more thick-skinned. Xian Tian learned some of Jiang Xi's kung fu. Humph. Mo Toa's nasal voice was like a lion's roar, making people feel dizzy. This was a spiritual sense attack. At the same time, he formed a diamond lion seal and punched out. Haha, you're a good whetstone. Xian Tian laughed heartily, full of fighting spirit. The startling saber intent instantly condensed. He had a breakthrough. The two of them exchanged blows once again. The intense scene caused the cultivators and greater demons in the distance to feel apprehensive. Everyone had come for the 10,000-year-old spiritual item, but could they win against such powerhouses? Jiang Xi smiled faintly. He had intended to help, but he did not expect Xian Tian to be able to deal with it alone. Then there was no need to worry. He turned his gaze to the other side. Li Bai was still fighting with the bearded golden core cultivator. Although Li Bai was stronger than her opponent, she could not completely defeat or kill him in a short time. After all, she did not have a spiritual weapon and had not comprehended the true meaning of Tao. She could only rely on her fast sword and speed to prevent her opponent from escaping. Sister Bai, let's end this quickly. Let's kill him together. Jiang Xi's footsteps were light as he flashed to help. Li Bai did not try to be brave and did not refuse Jiang Xi's help. Dealing with the enemy in front of her was the most important thing. The two of you, there is no enmity between us. I was just coerced by Jesus to attack you. The bearded golden core cultivator from the Sacred Alliance saw Jiang Xi rushing over and his expression changed drastically. He quickly begged for mercy. His words made Jiang Xi's expression change slightly. That kind-looking Pope was also dealing with the three of them behind their backs. Jiang Xi spread out his spiritual sense and scanned the space. Where was Jesus? He was still here a moment ago, but now he had disappeared. I'll kill you first. Jiang Xi's eyes were cold. He did not believe that the bearded man had been coerced. How could a golden core cultivator be coerced? Therefore, no matter what Jesus was plotting, the bearded golden core cultivator from the Western world was an enemy. Enemies deserve to die. If I die, you won't have an easy time either. The bearded man knew that he could not withstand the joint attack of Jiang Xi and Li Bai. After a roar, the spiritual power in his body circulated rapidly. The surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged, and his whole body began to inflate like a balloon. He was going to self-detonate. This scene immediately caused the surrounding cultivators and great demons who were engaged in a chaotic battle to retreat. To them, at this stage, the power of a golden core cultivator's self-detonation was absolutely destructive. If they were too close and were affected, they would either die or be injured. You're still not good enough to self-detonate in front of me. Jiang Xi calmed down at this moment. He was not the ancestor of self-detonation, but at least he was someone who had done it many times and had rich experience. In the past, when he used the experience panel to increase his strength, he would often overload his body with energy. That kind of feeling was similar to self-detonation. Therefore, he was very familiar with this process. Moreover, in Taoist GE's inherited memories, there was a description of self-detonation and a detailed explanation of how to deal with it. The simplest method was to let the inflated balloon deflate. However, he could not be too rough, or the deflation would turn into an explosion. Whoosh! The abyss coagulation sword attacked again. The gale true intent appeared on the tip of the sword and condensed into the shape of a needle. Then, Jiang Xi's speed reached the extreme. A shadow flashed past, and the long sword was sent out. There was a sizzling sound. It was as if something had deflated. Ah! The bearded man screamed. His inflated body returned to its original state in the blink of an eye. His whole body was covered in blood. His skin was cracked, and his blood vessels were broken. It was only to see riverward sword stabbing into his lower dantian. That was where the golden core was, where spiritual energy gathered the most. The needle-like gale true intent directly pierced a hole in his lower dantian. Whoosh! Jiang Xi raised his long sword, and the sharp blade pierced through the bearded man's lower jaw. You killed an early-stage golden core cultivator, experience points plus 1000, in just a few minutes. He killed 2 golden core cultivators. Xian Tian also killed a golden core silver wolf king. In addition, the dragon python and black tortoise worked together to kill the golden core demon. In just a short while, the 3 humans and 2 demons from the Dexia kingdom had killed 4 golden core cultivators. And this time, there were only a dozen golden core cultivators who entered the holy city's forbidden area. The specific number was 13. They killed nearly 1/3 of the golden core cultivators. It was extremely brutal. At this time, there were less than 30 cultivators and demons left. Golden core cultivators and demons, including the spirit-nurturing cultivators. However, even though so many had died, everyone was still fighting fiercely. No one was willing to give up or retreat. After all, there was only one 10,000-year-old spiritual root. No one noticed that some strange changes had happened to the corpses of the dead cultivators and demons. The blood in the corpses and the spiritual energy that had not dissipated were seeping into the ground bit by bit. Chapter 218. The forbidden area of the holy city, which was less than half a square kilometer, was enveloped by the 5-colored barrier. At this moment, the 5-colored barrier had already returned to normal. 2 figures stood on the tall city wall of the forbidden area of the holy city. One of them was wearing a black robe, while the other was wearing a red robe. They were the founder of the Liberal Alliance, Hermit Yuan Qing, and the Pope of the Holy City, Jesus. The spatial array of the forbidden area of the holy city is indeed extraordinary. It can create a barren space of tens of thousands of square kilometers in an area of half a square kilometer. Hermit Yuan Qing praised. If it weren't for his cold voice, he would have left a good impression on others. This is an array created by the Sacred Lord 2,000 years ago. Of course, it's extraordinary. Your spirit refinement blood array is much more ordinary compared to this array. Jesus made a few standard movements with a devout expression and asked, 21 spirit nourishment blood spirits and 4 golden core blood spirits. Isn't that enough to activate the spirit refinement blood array? Of course not. In order for this 10,000-year-old spiritual item to mature and bear fruit, at least 1 golden core blood spirit and 5 spirit nourishment blood spirits are needed. Hermit Yuan Qing said calmly. He didn't care about Jesus' belittling. Alas, no matter what, after this battle, my reputation is pretty much ruined. But I did all of this so that the holy light of the Lord can shine on this land again. May the Lord forgive me. Jesus looked at the 5-colored barrier in front of him with a sorrowful expression. He. Hermit Yuan Qing didn't hide his sarcasm. Jesus didn't care and prayed with a devout expression. Inside the forbidden area of the holy city, Jiang Xi and Li Baibai had finished off their opponents. Xian Tian and the old monk from the Peacock country, Mo Tua, were still locked in a fierce battle. The spiritual power and aura that erupted from the two caused the spiritual energy in the area to go berserk. Mo Tua was very powerful. His eyes were glowing, and his skinny body seemed to contain endless power. With the help of the golden protective light, he could catch Shen Tian's long sword with his bare hands. An old demon that had lived for thousands of years wasn't easy to deal with. His combat power is close to the late-stage Golden Core realm. Jiang Xi's eyes flashed as he and Li Baibai looked at each other. They were ready to help. Shen Tian, the bearded Golden Core cultivator from the Holy Alliance, had revealed an important piece of information. There was something wrong with Jesus. Therefore, he had to end the battle quickly and seize the 10,000-year-old spiritual root before retreating. The two of them rushed towards the old monk Imotua. But at this moment, an invisible palm print attacked Jiang Xi. The palm print emitted a sinister aura, giving people a chill that came from their souls. Danger! Jiang Xi's face suddenly changed, and all the hairs on his body trembled. He hurriedly dodged. However, he discovered that the speed of the invisible palm print seemed to have locked onto him. No matter how he dodged, the palm print chased after him relentlessly. Even though he had executed the true intent of Gale with all his might and his speed had reached the pinnacle, he was still unable to shake off the pursuit of the palm print. The speed of the palm print had surpassed the middle gold core stage. This invisible palm print is very familiar. It seems to be something hidden under the ancestral hall of the Ma family. This thought flashed through Jiang Xi's mind. The formless palm print, along with a terrifying and eerie aura, instantly exploded and abruptly struck Jiang Xi's back. Bang! A thunderous sound, like a heavy hammer hitting a drum, caused the souls of all the cultivators and great demons in this space to tremble. Their spiritual senses seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. Jiang Xi's entire body was sent flying. Like a meteor, he instantly disappeared into the depths of the forbidden space. So cold. His entire body was in intense pain and cold. The bone-piercing chill made his body feel as if it was about to freeze. The powerful force of the palm print was blocked by him. It was not his body that blocked it, but the animal skin box that he had been carrying, which happened to help him block the blow. However, he was still injured by the aftershock of the explosion of the invisible palm print. The eerie aura also entered his body. This is the strength of a late gold core stage. Could it be the Ma family's patriarch? He is here too. Jiang Xi quickly controlled his body and circulated his spiritual power, quickly dispelling the eerie aura all over his body at the same time. Faces flashed through his mind. Almost instantly, he recalled that at the entrance of the holy city's forbidden area, there was a middle-aged man with a pale and stiff face. That person also had the face of the great Xia kingdom. This invisible palm print and eerie aura are exactly the same as what I encountered in the Ma family. It must be the Ma family's patriarch. The fourth awakening of spiritual power has truly awakened him. Jiang Xi understood all this. Rustle, that terrifying eerie aura filled the air, and the chilly wind blew. That middle-aged man with a pale and stiff face had caught up to him. You must die today for severing my bloodline. His tone was emotionless. It was neither sad nor happy, just like a corpse. This sentence made Jiang Xi confirm that this person was the Ma family's patriarch. Moreover, the Ma family's patriarch was no longer human. The Ma family's inheritance was the corpse-driving lineage. The Ma family's patriarch in front of him had cultivated himself into a zombie. The aura emitted from his body was not the eerie aura of the ghosts in the Fengdu's secret realm, but the aura of a corpse. Late-stage gold core stage. Jiang Xi took a deep breath. No matter what the Ma family's patriarch was, he was the strongest opponent he had encountered so far. He wanted to run, but this space was tens of thousands of kilometers in size. There was nowhere to run. He could only fight. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Xi's body was covered with a thin layer of purple protective light. With a swoosh, the profound coagulation sword condensed a layer of sword shadow. The sword light flickered, and the wind howled. Sword intent. Gale intent. He was in his strongest state. Humph. The Ma family's patriarch waved his hand and sent out another formless palm print. After the eerie aura spread out, it seemed to be faintly compatible with something in this space. A person who should have died long ago. I want to see how powerful you are. Jiang Xi maintained his calm. Whoosh, the profound coagulation sword slashed out continuously. The huge sword light seemed to be able to cut through space as it welcomed the formless palm print at the same time. His figure flickered and arrived in front of the Ma family's patriarch. The profound coagulation sword, which was a low-grade spiritual artifact, carried the sword intense sword shadow and pierced out at lightning speed. Chi! When it pierced the Ma family's patriarch's body, it actually produced a metallic sound. It only pierced a small wound that was an inch deep. He obviously doesn't have the protective light, but his body's defense is so strong. How did this old man train? Jiang Xi was shocked. You must die today if you cut off my bloodline. The Ma family's patriarch repeated his words in a mechanical manner. He moved his feet and sent another palm strike towards Jiang Xi. Woo woo woo. For a moment, the wind howled like a ghost. The wind blew violently, and corpse chi filled the air. I don't believe it. Jiang Xi was ruthless. He pushed his speed to the extreme and circled around the Ma family's patriarch rapidly. The gale intent and sword intense Taoist rhymes surged wildly in the surroundings. Accompanied by surging spiritual energy, he continuously struck out with his sword. You must die today if you cut off my bloodline. The Ma family's patriarch continued to repeat his words in a mechanical manner and send out a series of powerful palm prints. Ding ding ding, Riverward had truly unleashed his full strength. Even if a mid-stage golden core cultivator were to come, they would be severely injured or even killed by the sword beams and sword shadows. But when it landed on the Ma family's patriarch, it only caused light injuries. The only thing that made Jiang Xi heave a sigh of relief was that this zombie also had a weakness. His agility is very poor, and his movements are very stiff. Only his straight-line speed is faster than me. Chapter 219. When Jiang Xi and the Ma family patriarch were fighting in the depths of the forbidden space. Just now, Li Baibai had wanted to go over and help, but she was quickly stopped by a golden core stage demon from the Western world and was unable to get away. On the other side, Xian Tian was still fighting with the old monk Mo Tua from the Peacock country. Both of them were equally matched, and both of them were close to the golden core realm. The battle in these two places was extremely intense. The cultivators and demons who were still alive were shocked, and no one dared to approach. Other than Xian Tian and Li Baibai, the other two demons from the Great Xia Kingdom, the Dragon Python and the Black Tortoise, were also attacking a golden core cultivator from the Western world. Very quickly, the golden core stage cultivator let out a roar of grief and indignation as he died. Blood splattered on the ground and seeped into the ground. Spiritual power was also diffusing. Another golden core cultivator had died. The humans and demons of the Great Xia Kingdom were extremely cruel. Outside the five-colored barrier, after the golden core cultivator from the Western world died, the Yuan Qingshan cultivators and Hessa's eyes lit up. They had gathered all the blood spirits. For the holy light of the Lord, let's begin. Holy light faintly appeared on Hessa's face. It was incomparably sacred. The Yuan Qingshan cultivators did not laugh this time. Instead, they solemnly formed hand seals. In less than a breath, they formed thousands of hand seals and struck the five-colored barrier. Spirit refinement blood formation, rise. In an instant, wisps of blood-red light began to emerge from the five-colored barrier and became denser. From the outside, the forbidden space of the holy city seemed to have turned into a bloody purgatory. In the forbidden space, there were less than 20 cultivators and great demons left, but everyone was still fighting until their heads bled. They would not stop until one of them was dead. Why did the sky turn red? Someone noticed that the sky in the forbidden space had changed color. What is that? Some demons also saw blood-red snakes crawling out from the ground and wandering in this space. There were more than 30 of them. With such an unforeseen event, the cultivators and demons simultaneously slowed down their attacks and looked at these changes in bewilderment. At this moment, a blood-red snake swung its tail and slithered into the body of a demon. Whoosh, that spirit-nurturing stage demon, which was nearly 100 meters tall, seemed to have withered. In an instant, it turned into a bag of bones. It was as if all the essence of his flesh and blood had been devoured by the blood-colored snake. As for the blood-red snake that had eaten its fill, it only swayed a little before splitting into two. Go away, go away. A spirit-gathering cultivator saw a blood-red snake slithering towards him, and he threw out a punch in horror. However, the bloody long snake seemed to be immune to all attacks. It directly passed through the fist print and entangled the spirit-gathering cultivator. In just a breath's time, a living person had turned into a bag of bones. He couldn't be more dead. Then, another blood-red snake appeared. Such a strange scene caused the remaining cultivators and greater demons to feel fear and panic. His attacks were useless. Could it be that he could only wait for death? Bye-bye, quickly go find Jiang Ci. Xian Tian stopped fighting with the old monk Mo Tua and flew towards Li Bye-bye. Mo Tua didn't stop him because the old monk of the Peacock Country also sensed the danger and stared at the blood-red snakes with a grim expression. The gold core stage demon who was fighting with Li Bye-bye saw Xian Tian coming over and was suddenly scared and quickly retreated. After the two of them met, they hurriedly flew into the depths of the space. They were worried that Jiang Ci would encounter the same situation. The speed of the gold core stage was very fast, and those blood-red snakes seemed to be unable to catch up with them. Only 5 of the larger blood-colored snakes were barely able to catch up to him. At the same time, the battle between Jiang Ci and the Ma family's ancestor had reached a stalemate. In a short period of time, no one could completely defeat the other, let alone kill the other. When these changes occurred in the forbidden space, Jiang Ci's face changed greatly. He recognized the origin of this array at a glance. Spirit Refining Blood Array. It's really crazy. The Spirit Refining Blood Array refined the flesh, soul, spiritual power, and spiritual sense. In other words, if one died in the Spirit Refining Blood Array, they would never be reincarnated. Although he guessed that Jesus might be doing something behind the scenes, he didn't expect that this seemingly kind old man would be so vicious and merciless. At this time, a few blood-red snakes swam over from afar at a very fast speed. Hey, let's stop here. Can we fight again next time? Jiang Ci hurriedly said to the Ma family's ancestor. Although the Ma family's ancestor's movements were stiff, he also stopped at this time. Obviously, he also sensed that something was wrong. Just you wait. The Ma family's ancestor said these 2 words and disappeared with a whoosh. His straight-line speed surpassed Jiang Ci's. Jiang Ci heaved a sigh of relief. Now that the Ma family's ancestor had left, he could focus on dealing with the threat of the Spirit Refining Blood Array. Fortunately, in Taoist GE's inherited memories, there were also evil arrays like the Spirit Refining Blood Array. When he was sorting out this part of the inheritance, he also studied it for a while because he was interested. Therefore, he was very clear about the power of this array. Normal attacks couldn't stop those blood-red snakes at all. Even if a golden core stage cultivator was entangled, he would still die. Dig underground. Once underground, the blood-red snakes couldn't attack. This was the Spirit Refining Blood Array's weakness that few people knew about. Oh right. Big brother and sister Bye-bye are still at the place where they were fighting just now. Jiang Ci's expression changed. Xian Tian and Li Bye-bye didn't know about this. If they were entangled by the blood-red snakes, it would be over. He hurriedly used his tactical communications watch to send a message to the 2 of them, reminding them that they would be fine if they dug underground. Soon, the blood-red snakes that swam over just now were already in front of him. Jiang Ci didn't hesitate. The profound gaze sword condensed a layer of sword shadow and dug directly into the ground. His body quickly sank into the ground. As for the blood-red snakes, they seemed to have lost their target and swam back to the place where they were fighting just now, looking for a new target. On the other side, Xian Tian and Li Bye-bye received Jiang Ci's message at the same time. They looked at each other and didn't hesitate. They believed in Jiang Ci's words. Bang bang! The two of them attacked the ground and blasted a hole in the ground with their weapons. Then, they drilled into it. With their attacks, they could dig out a tunnel in the blink of an eye. After their bodies sank into the ground, their spiritual senses discovered that the blood-red snakes had stopped chasing them. Jiang Xi didn't look for Xian Tian and Li Baibai because he had his own plans. Now that everyone is busy avoiding the blood-red snakes, they definitely won't have time to care about the 10,000-year-old spiritual root. This is my chance. Also, if I can get a few blood spirit crystals, it'll be a huge gain. He used the profound gaze sword as a drill and drilled forward. He was heading toward the center of this space, where the withered tree was. The 10,000-year-old spiritual root. Once he got it, he could find a secret realm with abundant spiritual chi and plant it there, waiting for it to blossom and bear fruit. As for the blood spirit crystals, they were the product of the spirit refining blood array. If he was lucky enough to get a few, then the harvest of this trip to the holy city would far exceed his original expectations. Chapter 220. As Jiang Xi drilled into the ground, information about spirit crystals appeared in his mind. When the spirit chi of heaven and earth condensed to a certain extent, it would produce an item called spirit crystal. Spirit crystals contained a huge amount of spirit chi and were very valuable. In the universe, they were not only used as currency. They were also necessary for cultivators to refine pills, refine weapons, set up formations, and other daily activities. In addition, the experts or cultivators with good backgrounds in the universe usually absorbed the spirit chi in spirit crystals to carry out their daily cultivation. Spirit crystals were very valuable, but they were very rare. Therefore, evil cultivators created evil formations like the spirit refinement blood formation. Using a cultivator's flesh, soul, spirit chi, and spiritual sense as raw materials, the spirit refinement blood formation would eventually refine blood spirit crystals. Among them, refining a cultivator at the spirit gathering stage could give him an inferior blood spirit crystal. Using a golden core cultivator as raw materials would yield a low-grade blood spirit crystal. Because refining gathered the energy of a cultivator's entire body, blood spirit crystals had a similar effect as spirit crystals and also contained a large amount of spirit chi. Refining blood spirit crystals was strictly forbidden by the Tao Alliance in the universe, but the Tao Alliance didn't care. However, this was Earth, an abandoned and forgotten place. It would be hard for anyone to punish Jesus for his insane behavior. Of course, Jiang Xi also understood that he was not a saint and could not enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. At most, he would help the dead humans and demons teach Jesus a lesson for the sake of the blood spirit crystals. At this moment, Jiang Xi's spiritual sense discovered that he was about to reach his destination. Although his drilling speed was not as fast as on the ground, it was only relatively speaking. In just 1 minute, he had drilled more than 30 kilometers. Whoosh! Suddenly, the deep condensation sword lost its resistance. Jiang Xi was shocked. In the next moment, he drilled out of the ground. He stood in the air and scanned with his spiritual sense. He found that he did not return to the ground but appeared in a space with a diameter of about 3 meters. His spiritual sense did not discover this place just now. Another formation space? Jiang Xi shook his head. This place was emitting a fishy smell of soil, which meant that he was still underground. Moreover, it happened to be right below the 10,000-year-old Fei, where someone had specially dug a cave. This was because he could see hundreds of roots hanging down from the soil above the cave. Among them, dozens of roots were covered in blood-red light, as if something was about to condense. Those should be the roots of the 10,000-year-old spiritual creature. I'm lucky that the blood spirit crystal hasn't formed yet. Looks like I'll have to wait a little longer. Jiang Xi frowned slightly, then his brows relaxed. This cave has blocked the detection of soul sense. Although I can't detect the situation outside, the possibility of being discovered is also very small. Let's wait here for the blood spirit crystal to take shape. He had already told Xian Tian and Li Baibai the way to avoid danger. There was no need to worry about them. They just had to wait here. If he could get the blood spiritual crystal, his harvest would far exceed his expectations. In Jiang Xi's eyes, the blood spirit crystal was even more important than a 10,000-year-old spiritual root. It was still unknown how long it would take for a 10,000-year-old spiritual root to bloom and bear fruit. As for the blood spirit crystal, he could directly use it for cultivation and setting up arrays. Especially for setting up arrays. Ever since he had received Taoist Ge's inheritance and made the Tao oath to cheat his disciple, Jiang Xi knew that he would definitely step into the starry sky one day. The problem was, how? The only method he knew now was the one Taoist Gu had told him, which was to go through the interstellar transmission array on the first moon. Then, there was a new problem. How could he go to the first moon? First of all, the method of flying up was completely unfeasible. Even those in the Golden Core realm did not have the strength to fly directly to the moon. Second, he definitely could not go to the Bright Heaven Palace in the Fengdu mystic realm. Although there was a transmission array to the first moon, there was also a terrifying tree spirit that was at least in the nascent soul realm. It was completely luck that he was able to escape last time. He would not do this kind of thing that relied on luck, and the success rate was almost zero for a second time. According to Jiang Xi's original idea, he would cooperate with the Great Xia Kingdom to launch a spaceship to the moon and use the power of technology to land on the first moon. However, it was very risky and would expose that he had gone deep into the starry sky. At this stage, he did not want the people on Earth to know this. With the blood spirit crystal, everything will be easy. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. Taoist Gu was an expert in array formations. In his inherited memories, array formations occupied a very important part of it. Of course, there would be an inheritance related to the transmission array. My cheap master has reached the level where he can let the array refine the spiritual chi of heaven and earth on its own. I can't do this. However, I can use the blood spirit crystal to provide the energy source for the operation of the array. In this way, I can set up some small transmission arrays. In fact, Jiang Xi had the idea of setting up his own transmission array before, but he could not find the spiritual crystal. Because the current concentration of spiritual chi of heaven and earth did not meet the conditions for the natural formation of spiritual crystals. This time, it was really a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance without any effort. Jiang Xi waited quietly underground, but in the forbidden space, there was a panic. Those cultivators and great demons who survived the chaotic battle just now were desperately avoiding the pursuit of the blood-colored long snakes. Especially the 5 larger blood-colored long snakes. They were the fastest and could easily catch up with cultivators of the spirit nurture stage. However, the area of this space was tens of thousands of square kilometers. After these people and demons fled in all directions, the blood-colored long snakes could not devour them all in a short time. There were also people who could escape the pursuit of the blood-colored long snakes with just speed. The ancestral patriarch of the Ma family and the old monk of the Peacock country, Mo Tua, were at the late-stage golden core stage and were close to it. Even the 5 larger blood-colored long snakes could not catch up with them. In addition, the dragon python and the black tortoise were also exceptions. The 2 great demons relied on their strong physiques to reach the late-stage golden core stage. Outside the forbidden space, Hessus saw that the color of blood was getting thicker and thicker inside the colorful barrier. His tense face finally relaxed. Soon, the blood spirit crystal will be completely condensed in half an hour at most. When the 10,000-year-old spiritual crystal blooms and bears fruit, we don't have to worry about alarming the beings below. What are you afraid of? With the current concentration of spiritual chi of heaven and earth, beings above the golden core stage can't be awakened yet. The man of the Yuan Qing sect laughed eerily. What do you know? The abyss hell under the forbidden space of the sacred city was suppressed by the sacred lord at the cost of his own life 2,000 years ago. Once the demons in the abyss hell are released, the entire earth will be destroyed. Hessus snorted. The man of the Yuan Qing sect shook his head and did not hide the disdain on his face. The style of the Western world was to exaggerate the facts. Chapter 221. As time passed, there were less and less cultivators and great demons left in the forbidden space. There were less than 10 of them left. Jiang Ci stood in the air below the 10,000-year-old spiritual item. He looked up and saw that the blood-red light on the roots had become even more condensed. The spirit qi of heaven and earth in the cave had also become much denser. At this rate, I'll have to wait for about half an hour. Jiang Ci had an estimate in his heart. He didn't refine the spirit qi in the cave. If he absorbed too much and the blood spirit crystal couldn't form, then the loss would outweigh the gain. Suddenly, Jiang Ci's eyes caught a glimpse of a flash of cold light at the bottom of the cave. The cave was extremely dark. Only the blood-red light on the 10,000-year-old spiritual item's roots emitted a little light. That cold light attracted his attention. He carefully scanned the area below with his spiritual sense. Nothing. Jiang Ci looked puzzled. When he entered the cave just now, the first thing he did was to use his spiritual sense to carefully investigate the situation here. However, after gaining spiritual sense, he neglected to use his eyes to observe the surroundings. Jiang Ci became interested and turned on the virtual light of his tactical communications watch. The cave, which was about 3 meters in diameter, suddenly became much brighter. That's a ceiling formation. He saw that the ground below the cave was engraved with complicated symbols and patterns. They looked very ancient. Jiang Ci suppressed the shock in his heart and locked his eyes on the center of the formation below. At the center of the formation, where the symbols and patterns converged, a blue dagger was inserted about an inch deep. The cold light just now came from the dagger. It actually used a spiritual item as the formation base. What's sealed below? Jiang Ci remained cautious. He carefully observed the surroundings with his eyes. After confirming that there were no other dangers, he flew down. He walked up to the dagger and carefully observed it for a moment, but he didn't find anything unusual. This blue dagger faintly emits a gloomy aura. After observing this, Jiang Ci understood. No wonder at the very beginning, he felt that the holy light emitted by the withered tree revealed a gloomy aura. The sinister aura was emitted by the dagger. This spiritual dagger is a little strange. I can't tell what grade it is just by looking at it. Jiang Ci shook his head, stretched out his hand, and decisively grabbed the handle of the dagger. No matter what grade it was, he definitely wouldn't let go of such a free opportunity. Jiang Dudu cultivates the Tao of assassination, so he could bring it back for her to use. As for whether there would be any danger after pulling it out, Jiang Ci had already confirmed it over and over again. There shouldn't be any major problems. Even if there was really something sealed beneath the dagger and the formation, it should have died after several thousand years. Even his chief master, Taoist Gu, could not survive for 10,000 years without the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. He didn't believe that there was any existence in the Western world's inheritance that could survive the seal for thousands of years. Ding! Jiang Ci pulled out a blue dagger that was about a foot long. Fuck! In the next moment, Jiang Ci's expression changed drastically. Because the moment he pulled out the dagger, there was a shocking gloomy aura that followed the dagger from the depths of the ground. He hurriedly wanted to put the dagger back in its original position. But he failed. Run! Jiang Ci couldn't even wait for the blood spirit crystals. He used the Gale True Intent and was about to escape. In the next moment, the situation changed again. Jiang Ci's movements suddenly stopped, and the wind around him also calmed down. He turned around in surprise and looked at the place where the dagger was inserted. There were wisps of blue energy gushing out. The aura it emitted was extremely cold, but it was very pure and didn't feel gloomy. Baleful energy. Jiang Ci's eyes widened. This was really an unexpected surprise. He originally thought that a terrifying existence would emerge from the ground, but he didn't expect it to be baleful energy. This was a good thing. In simple words, baleful energy could help a cultivator increase the speed of refining spirit power. I used more than 3 months to complete 10 refinements of the 100 refinements technique. To complete the 100 refinements and form the golden core, I still need more than 2 years. But with the baleful energy, this time can be greatly shortened. Jiang Ci was pleasantly surprised. Whoosh, his figure flashed, and he arrived above the baleful energy. Then, he sat cross-legged in the air. 100 Refinements Technique. Suddenly, wisps of blue baleful energy seemed to be attracted and drilled into Jiang Ci's body from below. His spiritual sense was like a hammer, and it began to refine the spirit power in his body. Originally, he could only complete 100 refinements a day. But now, wisps of baleful energy were displaying a magical effect. The speed of refining spirit power increased sharply, and it was almost 10 refinements per second. It was equivalent to completing 1 refinement in 2 minutes. He could complete the remaining 90 refinements in about 3 hours. This speed is still not enough. The blood spirit crystals will be formed in half an hour. I can't wait too long. However, Jiang Ci was not satisfied. He wanted to be faster. He waved a sword light and hit the hole below that was spewing baleful energy. The hole became bigger, and the amount of baleful energy erupted increased several times. From the thickness of a hair, it became as thick as a chopstick and surged into Jiang Ci's body. 100 Refinements Technique. Dang dang dang. In Jiang Ci's mind, there seemed to be a rapid knocking sound. 60 refinements per second. The speed of refining spirit power was increasing rapidly. 100 refinements, 1,000 refinements, 10,000 refinements, 20,000 refinements, 30,000 refinements, 1,000 refinements for 1 refinement. In less than 10 minutes, he had completed 30 refinements. Too cool. Too extravagant. While Jiang Ci was running the 100 refinements technique, he was exclaiming in his heart. In the universe, a strand of baleful energy as thick as a hair could make spirit-nurturing cultivators fight to the death. A strand of baleful energy as thick as a chopstick could make golden core cultivators go crazy. As for a strand of baleful energy as thick as a thumb, that was something that only nascent soul cultivators dared to dream of, but now, he was sitting on a fountain of baleful energy. Suck, suck, suck. Refine, refine, refine. Without stopping, he absorbed the baleful energy that was like a fountain. More than 20 minutes later. Dang! With the last hammer sound in his mind, Jiang Ci opened his eyes. His face was full of desire. 100,000 refinements, the 100 refinements technique was completed. After the transformation of spirit power, the next step was to form the golden core. Forming the golden core was a major event that must be treated with caution. He definitely could not try it here. The blood spirit crystal is about to condense. I should wait until I go back to form the golden core. However, even if he had not really reached the golden core stage, with the spirit power after the 100 refinements, he was now no weaker than the late-stage golden core stage. Jiang Ci felt the powerful spirit power in his body and was full of confidence. If he met the Ma family's patriarch again, he could easily break through his abnormal defense. Chapter 222. At this time, the evil force below was still erupting upward, but the amount began to decrease sharply. From the looks of it, there was only so much baleful energy underground. It will be finished in 3 minutes at most. Unfortunately, there is no container to store evil force. Otherwise, it will be a great profit. The storage ring couldn't store spiritual chi, evil force and other energy bodies. Jiang Ci shook his head and chuckled. He couldn't be too greedy. The amount of baleful energy that he had absorbed and refined was something that many powerful cultivators might not be able to gather in their entire lives. The harvest this time is already very big. 3 minutes later, the blue baleful energy stopped erupting, and its aura disappeared completely. To Jiang Ci's surprise, the seal on the ground below the cave seemed to have completed its mission. The complicated symbols and patterns of the array were quickly dissipating. Is the seal going to be completely lifted? In the bloody forbidden space. After more than 20 minutes, there were only 2 cultivators and a big monster left among the spirit-gathering stage cultivators who were still alive. Another gold core stage cultivator died. Other gold core stage monsters such as the dragon python and the black tortoise were not entangled by the bloody snakes. At this time, they all understood that the bloody snakes were transformed by the dead people and monsters just now. As for why such a change happened, they all had the same answer. They also had the same answer. It was definitely related to Pope Jesus of the Holy City. Perhaps, this matter was Jesus's conspiracy from the beginning to the end. Some people wanted to go out, but the colorful barrier had already returned to its original state. At that time, the colorful barrier could only be broken by the combined strength of all the people and monsters. They couldn't break it at all and couldn't go out. The dragon python and the black tortoise had been circling in this space countless times, avoiding the pursuit of the bloody snakes. "Little dragon, do you have any new discoveries?" The black tortoise asked through its soul sense. "No. Uncle Black, you said that we would be safe if we followed the Shen Tian. But they have disappeared for so long, and we have been looking for them so many times. Could they have been swallowed by the bloody snakes?" The dragon python was a little anxious. "Calm down. This just means that they must have found a way to escape. Now, as long as we find them, we can escape from our current predicament." The black tortoise was very calm. Roar. The dragon python was very irritable. It roared in anger and an enormous aura erupted, causing the entire space to tremble. The black tortoise was a little surprised. He noticed this. At this moment, the 5-colored barrier that enveloped this space began to shake violently. Outside the forbidden space. Although he couldn't see the exact situation inside the forbidden area, he was able to make a rough guess based on the state of the spirit refinement blood formation. "My luck is not bad. The seal of the abyss of hell is not affected." Hessus felt more and more relaxed. It seemed that the blood spirit crystal was about to take shape. At that time, the 10,000-year-old spiritual item would be able to absorb the massive amount of spiritual energy from the blood spirit crystal and mature, bloom, and bear fruit in an extremely short period of time. Hermit Yuan Qing was also filled with anticipation. With the 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit, his cultivation level would break through again. Both of them were waiting for the 10,000-year-old phase to mature. Suddenly, the 5-colored barrier shook as if its foundation was unstable and was about to break. "Not good." Hermit Yuan Qing and Hessus's expressions changed drastically. There was a problem with the spatial array of the forbidden area. Roar. "What kind of bullshit barrier is this? How dare you trap me, the dragon python?" Before they could do anything, 2 enormous figures broke through the violently shaking 5-colored barrier. They were the dragon python and the black tortoise. Roar. The 2 demons roared in unison when they saw Hermit Yuan Qing and Hessus. At this moment, they were even more certain that this was Hessus's scheme. "Despicable humans." The dragon python roared angrily. Dark clouds rolled violently and rushed toward the 2 standing in the air. The black tortoise followed closely behind. Spiritual energy surged, and black rain poured down immediately. Hermit Yuan Qing remained unmoved as if victory was already in his grasp. However, Hessus moved. He opened his arms, and his entire body emitted a blinding holy light. Holy light punishment. As he shouted, countless buildings in the entire holy city released rays of holy light in an instant. The holy light gathered in the air to form thousands upon thousands of spears of holy light with astonishing momentum. Go! All the holy light spears pierced toward the dragon python and the black tortoise. Dragon, retreat! The black tortoise roared. Its figure flashed and rushed directly in front of the dragon python. Its body instantly became 100 times larger, and its tortoise shell faced the holy light spears. Boom! Boom! A violent explosion occurred in the sky above the holy city. The terrifying power instantly spread throughout the entire holy city. Even the entire Western world was affected by the explosion. This continent was trembling as if there was an earthquake. In the dazzling light, a few figures could be vaguely seen flying out of the forbidden area. 3 of them were in the spirit-nurturing realm. They were directly shattered by the impact of the explosion and turned into ashes. They escaped from the spirit refinement blood array, but they did not escape this calamity. As for the other 2 figures, they disappeared at an extremely fast speed, forcefully withstanding the power of the holy light explosion. The 2 who escaped were the Ma family's patriarch and the Peacock country's old monk, Mo Toa. Uncle Black. The dragon python was full of worry. The holy light spears were too powerful. Even he did not have the confidence to withstand them. "Let's go." The black tortoise roared and flew out of the dazzling holy light. Its huge body once again returned to its original size, but its aura was clearly much weaker. There were densely packed white marks on the black tortoise shell as if it had been burned by high temperature. Even with the extremely strong defense of the tortoise shell, it was still injured. The 2 great demons used their fastest speed and left with a roar. The holy light dissipated. Hessus did not chase after the 2 great demons, because he could only use such powerful attacks in the holy city. After leaving the holy city, he was an ordinary early-stage golden core cultivator. Ignore them. Let's see if the 10,000-year-old spiritual item was affected. Hermit Yuan Qing's expression was serious. At this moment, the holy city's forbidden area's formation had been broken. What was revealed was the original ancient forbidden area that was less than half a square kilometer. The forbidden area was still shrouded in thick fog, and it was no different from before. The 2 flew down and arrived at the center of the forbidden area. After seeing the 10,000-year-old spiritual item situation, they heaved a sigh of relief. The 10,000-year-old spiritual item that looked like a withered tree had an extra leaf. It was obvious that the spirit refinement blood array was not affected. The 10,000-year-old spiritual item was beginning to recover and grow. In the cave directly below the withered tree. When the symbols and patterns of the ceiling formation dissipated, Jiang Xi guessed that it was related to the disappearance of the yin energy. However, he was not in the mood to pay attention to this because the blood-colored light on the roots above the cave had already gathered to the size of a fist and was about to take shape. At this moment, the blood-colored light suddenly brightened and then shrunk into a ball. When the light dissipated, only white crystals with blood-colored patterns were left. The blood spirit crystal was formed. Chapter 223. Almost at the same time, the roots started to absorb the spiritual chi from the blood spirit crystals. The absorption speed was very fast. He had to get the blood spirit crystals as soon as possible. Whoosh! Riverward flashed and directly flew in front of those roots. His hands were like a phantom. In an instant, all the blood spirit crystals were picked up by him. 6 inferior-grade blood spirit crystals and 43 inferior-grade blood spirit crystals. These blood spirit crystals represented the lives of 49 cultivators and big demons. 6 of them were in the golden core realm and 43 of them were in the spirit nourishment realm. Jiang Xi mourned for them and then put the blood spirit crystals into his storage ring. Although the 10,000-year-old spiritual root could bear fruit after absorbing the spiritual chi from the blood spirit crystals, it was still not enough. In his eyes, the blood spirit crystals were more important than the fruits of the 10,000-year-old spiritual root. Anyway, when I go back and plant them in the Jade Lake mystic realm, they will also bear fruit. Jiang Xi thought as he prepared to go back to the surface to dig up the 10,000-year-old spiritual root. The blood spirit crystals had taken shape, which meant that the spirit refinement blood array had completed the final refinement. The blood-red snakes had disappeared. There would be no danger on the surface now. In front of the withered tree, the smiles of Yuan Qingshan and Hessus froze. The second leaf that had just sprouted quickly withered and withered before it could even turn into a sparkling green. Why? The blood-red snakes have disappeared. Didn't the blood spirit crystals take shape? Yuan Qingshan could not keep calm. He had learned about the spirit refinement blood array from an ancient book. This was his first time trying to set it up. Underground. There is a problem with the underground cave. Someone went in. Hessus looked ferocious. It was impossible to tell that he was a kind old man. He was the Pope of the sacred city. Naturally, he knew that there was a 2,000-year-old cave under the forbidden area. That was what he had been worried about. He was worried that using the spirit refinement blood array to mature the 10,000-year-old spiritual root would affect the seal in the cave. He had thought that the cave could block spiritual senses and would not be discovered. He did not expect that the cave's ability to block spiritual senses would fail. Someone had sneaked in. Jiang Xi. Yuan Qingshan scanned the cave with his spiritual senses and discovered the identity of the person in the cave. He emitted a gloomy aura and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Bang! A hole was blasted in the ground, and a figure soared into the sky. Shameless thief! How dare you destroy the forbidden area of our holy city? Jesus roared. This situation stunned Jiang Xi for a moment, but he reacted quickly. Instantly, he discovered that the spatial array of the holy city's forbidden area had been broken. Was the space array and the ceiling array in the cave one and the same? Jiang Xi, die! Shameless thief, die! Hessus and Hermit Yuan Qing attacked at the same time. The sacred fist print and the cold palm print blasted towards Jiang Xi. I'm shameless. Jiang Xi was not afraid at all. With a wave of his hand, he sent out two palms. The surging spiritual energy condensed into a large palm print, directly scattering the attacks of the two. Then, he sneered, in my opinion, the dignified Pope of the Holy City is a shameless person who secretly colluded with the founder of the Liberal Alliance. Who knows how many shady deals he has done? Of course, he could recognize the black-robed Hermit Yuan Qing. You deserve to die. Hessus flew into a rage out of humiliation. Bam! Bam! At this moment, under the tall walls of the holy city's forbidden area, two figures broke through the ground and rushed out. They were Xian Tian and Li Baibai. After the two of them came out, they wanted to help Jiang Xi. They're actually not dead. Hessus and Hermit Yuan Qing's expressions changed again. Big brother, sister Baibai, leave this to me. You two go and dig out the 10,000-year-old spiritual root. Jiang Xi laughed. Then I won't fight with you. Xian Tian also laughed loudly. He vaguely sensed that Jiang Xi's strength had probably increased again. Then, together with Li Baibai, he rushed towards the withered tree. Don't even think about it. Hessus was furious. Hermit Yuan Qing also moved to stop them. Eerie ghost chi filled the forbidden area of the holy city. Holy light punishment. Hessus spread his arms again, and his body emitted a blinding holy light. At the same time, the buildings in the holy city also released rays of holy light, which began to condense into holy light spears. Finally, there seemed to be a layer of light above the holy city. Under the light, thousands of holy light spears appeared. This is... Jiang Xi was a little surprised. Even a late-stage golden core cultivator might not be able to withstand so many holy light spears. It was no wonder that when he first approached the holy city, he felt an inexplicable threat above the city. It turned out that the threat came from these holy light spears. Swoosh! Swoosh! The holy light spears shot towards Jiang Xi like a rain of arrows. If it was before, I might have turned around and left, but now, Jiang Xi's expression was calm. He channeled his spiritual power, and a purple protective light that was 10 times thicker suddenly appeared. After refining his spiritual power 100 times, his strength had increased by a large level. True sword intent. A shocking sword shadow immediately condensed on the deep freeze sword's blade, and an inexplicable Taoist rhyme flowed. Disperse! Jiang Xi shouted softly. The wind circled around him, and his body took the initiative to meet the attack like lightning. At the same time, the sword shadow danced and turned into a sword curtain, whistling as it collided with the holy light spears. Boom! Boom! An astonishing explosion occurred, even more violent than that of the black tortoise. That was because the black tortoise used its turtle shell to defend, and Jiang Xi used a powerful attack to meet force with force. The shock wave produced by the explosion instantly swept across the entire continent where the Western world was located. There was even a huge tsunami in the Mediterranean Sea not far from here. The satellites of the 5 major countries were monitoring this place, but the collision was too powerful, and the shock wave affected the satellite signals. The satellites could not see the situation here clearly, and could only capture a dazzling holy light and countless shocking sword shadows. That's all you got. After the holy light dissipated and everything calmed down, Jiang Xi's indifferent voice sounded in the sky. Hessis's expression changed, and it was very ugly. He did not expect that other than the black tortoise, there would be someone who could block the attack of the holy light punishment. And Jiang Xi was obviously stronger than the black tortoise. Let's see how many times you can block it. Hessis's expression was fierce. Holy light punishment. He unleashed the same attack again. Jiang Xi, an ultimate move that did not consume mana and had no limit to the number of uses. This was unexpected. Jiang Xi knew that no matter how strong he was, there was a limit to his strength. After all, strictly speaking, he was only a cultivator at the late stage of spirit nurture. A wise man submits to circumstances. It was time to leave after obtaining the benefits. Big brother, sister bye-bye, hurry up, it's time to retreat. Jiang Xi shouted. In the holy city's forbidden area, the Xian Tian was dealing with the Yuanqing hermit, and Li Baibai was digging out the 10,000-year-old spiritual root. At this moment, Li Baibai finally dug out the complete 10,000-year-old spiritual root. Let's go. She calmly flew up and flew out of the holy city. Ha, thank you for your hospitality. The Xian Tian repelled the Yuanqing hermit with one slash. He did not linger and flew away. Goodbye, both of you. Jiang Xi saw that it was about time, and he waved with a smile. When he left, he instantly unleashed hundreds of sword shadows, preventing Hessis and the Yuanqing hermit from chasing after him. Chapter 224. It was said that it would only take half a day, and it really took half a day. They went out at 8:00 in the morning and came back at 12:00 at noon. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai were all very satisfied with the harvest of this trip to the Western world. Although they didn't get the 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit, they passed by the Kunlun Mountains on the way back. They had already planted the 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit on the top of the Tongtian mountain in the Jade Lake secret realm. It would bear fruit sooner or later. When the 3 of them separated, Xian Tian reminded them. So many cultivators and demons above the spirit accumulation realm have died. I'm afraid there will be a big change in the future of the global martial arts world. Go back and be prepared. Jiang Xi and Li Baibai nodded solemnly. Yes, if we count Krishna, who was killed by Jiang Xi, and another gold core stage cultivator from Alpha Star killed by Yen Long, then we will definitely be able to kill him. This time, there were as many as 8 gold core cultivators who died. The number of spirit accumulation realm cultivators also exceeded 40. The death of so many strong cultivators will definitely cause a big earthquake in the martial arts world. However, no matter how big the change was, Jiang Xi was not afraid. He also didn't want to participate too much. What he needed to do most now was to form his core and become a real gold core cultivator. After returning home, Jiang Xi planned to cultivate in seclusion. He directly gave the blue spiritual dagger to Jiang Daodu, which made the little girl very happy. Although Jiang Daodu hadn't reached the spirit accumulation realm, she couldn't really refine the spiritual dagger. However, the quality of the spiritual tool itself was enough to greatly increase her strength. At least, ordinary A-level cultivators were definitely no match for her. Unfortunately, I still can't identify the grade of the dagger. There's a layer of seal on it that I can't see through. Jiang Xi looked at Jiang Daodu, who was playing with the dagger, and pondered in his heart. This spiritual dagger was used as the base of the seal array by the sacred city. It was definitely not that simple. Thinking of this, Jiang Xi went to the underground practice room and searched for some information about the sacred city more than 2,000 years ago. Soon, he found a key piece of information. 2,000 years ago, the Holy Lord who established the holy city sacrificed himself to suppress the abyss of hell. He then searched for information about the abyss and hell. After a series of association, inference, and verification, Jiang Xi had a rough answer in his heart. The abyss of hell was the place of demons in Western mythology. Whether it existed or not was still unknown. The baleful energy that existed there was most likely the reason for the existence of the sealing array. This was because the baleful energy was fatal to ordinary people. Perhaps the Divine Lord had sacrificed himself in order to prevent the baleful energy from wreaking havoc in the Western world. Of course, it was also possible that the Holy Lord had made a mistake in refining the baleful energy and had been corroded by the baleful energy, sealing himself in the end. After all, the method to refine the baleful energy was very precious and not everyone could possess it. If a cultivator did not have the correct refining method and rashly introduced the baleful energy into their body, it was very easy for them to suffer from mental confusion and other adverse reactions. Perhaps that was how the so-called demons came to be. Jiang Xi shook his head gently. No matter what, he had benefited from it in the end. Then, let's start the core formation now. Jiang Xi gathered his thoughts and prepared to form the core formation. But before he could form the seal for the core formation, Jiang Daodu knocked on the door of the practice room anxiously. Brother, something big has happened. An old man wants to crusade against you. A moment later, Jiang Xi turned on the computer in the practice room. A holographic live broadcast for the whole world appeared in front of him and Jiang Daodu. In the holographic live broadcast, Jesus was standing in front of the Holy City Cathedral. His whole body was faintly emitting holy light, looking very sacred. But at this moment, he looked sad and said loudly with righteous indignation, "This is the rebirth of the demons. Xian Tian, Jiang Xi, and Li Bai are the demons of the present age. The three of them have brutally slaughtered more than 50 top powerhouses in the holy city. They want to be the overlords of martial arts and dominate the world. As the current Pope of the holy city, I, Jesus, hereby strongly appeal to the powerhouses of the world's martial arts world to join forces to resist and crusade against these three demons. At the same time, I strongly request that the Great Xia Kingdom do justice and let these three demons realize their mistakes and commit suicide to atone for their sins." After watching the live broadcast, Jiang Xi was both angry and amused. He was just deducing how demons were formed. How did he become a demon? This shameless old man. He had to admit that Jesus's acting skills were well trained at such an old age. At this moment, his tactical communications watch rang. When he picked up, as expected, it was Xian Tian calling. "Jiang Xi, you saw the live broadcast too, right? Jesus poured the dirty water of the Battle of the Holy City on us. Do you want to go again and kill him?" Xian Tian asked. "Brother, if we go and kill him now, won't we just prove what he said? Haha, I'm just testing you. I'm afraid you'll rush over and kill him on impulse. I think you're the one who wants to be impulsive." Jiang Xi could tell that Xian Tian did not take Jesus's slander to heart. However, as the current Pope of the Holy City, Jesus was highly respected. There were many people all over the world who admired and trusted him. His words set off a global wave of crusades against Jiang Xi and the other two. Especially in the other four major countries, public opinion was the strongest. Because in the new era, the Great Xia Kingdom was far ahead of them. Out of jealousy, no one would let go of this rare opportunity to suppress the powerhouses of the Great Xia Kingdom. The situation of public opinion in the Great Xia Kingdom was better. After all, Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Bai were the representatives of the powerhouses of the Great Xia Kingdom's martial arts world. Naturally, their reputation was difficult to shake. Of course, since ancient times, there had been traitors and traitors who clamored for crusades on the internet. But who cared about them? Jiang Xi's mood was not affected by this matter. He was focused on forming his core. However, swallowing insult and humiliation was not Jiang Xi's style of doing things. He only had one word for Jesus' slanderous remarks: hypocrite. It was useless to say more. These two words caused the supporters of both sides to quarrel endlessly on the internet. When public opinion was hot, it didn't take long for a new situation to appear. The Peacock country announced that Imotua, a golden core powerhouse from 1,000 years ago, had awakened and honored him as the current Brahmin god. Imotuo's appearance caused a huge sensation. After all, he was the first person to admit that he had lived for 1,000 years. 1,000 years! The desire to pursue longevity would never be outdated. When a person who had lived for 1,000 years appeared in front of the public, everyone boiled over. Then, when Imotuo's reputation reached its peak, he made a statement to the world through the internet. He only said one sentence: "I also participated in the Battle of the Holy City. I can testify that Jesus is right." In public opinion, there was often a situation of blind obedience. A powerhouse who had lived for 1,000 years personally testified for Jesus. Immediately, public opinion was biased toward Jesus. Chapter 225. The people who supported Jiang Xi were secretly anxious because no powerhouse came out to testify for Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai. When the public opinion was one-sided, the situation changed again. A shocking and somewhat hilarious virtual live broadcast became a hot topic on the internet. The background of the virtual live stream was a vast swamp where many powerful monsters resided. Two powerful monsters hovered in the sky, covered with dark clouds and black rain. "Little Long Long, is it done? It should be done. Human stuff always burns one's brain. If I had known, I would have caught someone to help us. Well, let's begin." Two terrifying figures and low rumbling voices resounded in the sky above the swamp. "I, Long Mang, am here to expose the Pope of the Holy City, he." "Uncle Hey, what's he again?" "Jesus, cough." "I, Long Mang, am here to expose the hypocritical face of Pope Jesus of the Holy City. The Battle of the Holy War was caused by him and another black-robed man. They set up an evil formation and killed almost all the cultivators and powerful monsters." "That's right. I, Black Tortoise, can also testify that Little Long Long and I both participated in the Battle of the Holy City. The whole thing was Jesus' conspiracy from the beginning to the end." The two powerful monsters spoke one after another and told the general situation of the matter. The outside world was in an uproar. The fact that the powerful monsters could play the live broadcast became the secondary focus. The most important thing was that the two powerful monsters, as the natural enemies of human beings, actually stood out to testify for Jiang Xi and the other two and cleared their names. Could it be that Jesus was really lying? Those who are not of our kind must have a different heart. How can we believe the words of powerful monsters? This statement directly reduced the effect of Long Mang and Black Tortoise's testimony to the lowest. Everyone reacted. Yes, powerful monsters were ferocious and could not be trusted. What made everyone even more puzzled was that except for Jiang Xi, who said the word hypocritical at the beginning, Xian Tian and Li Baibai did not stand out to defend themselves. Were they guilty? Or did they want to ignore them? The public opinion was noisy and there were all kinds of speculations. As time went by, the words supporting Jesus completely gained the upper hand. After all, Jesus looked very friendly, and he was the Pope of the Holy City. He was highly respected, and very few people would doubt him. Jiang Xi didn't know what Xian Tian and Li Baibai were thinking, but he didn't have time to care. There was an old saying in the Great Xia Kingdom, settling accounts after autumn. Right now, he was only focused on forming his golden core. He didn't want to be affected by these things. This was because the process of core formation not only had to be carried out in a very quiet environment, it also required one's heart to be calm. Of course, he wasn't worried about failing. The Violet Firmament Sword Sutra was an important legacy of the Violet Firmament sect of the Tao Alliance. It could be said to be one of the best cultivation techniques in the entire universe. A mere core formation cultivator like him naturally wouldn't have any problems with it. Jiang Ci began to attempt to form his gold core on the night of December 25, the 95th year of the new moon era. After failing 3 times, he finally succeeded on his 4th try. Coincidentally, the day of success happened to be the new year, January 1st of the 96th year of the new moon era. The spiritual energy in his body that had been tempered hundreds of times successfully condensed into a sparkling golden core in his lower dantian. In that instant, he felt as if his entire being had been sublimated. His life and mind had undergone a transition. When he opened his eyes again, the whole world was different. So this is the golden core stage. Jiang Ci's heart moved, and he rose into the air. He didn't use the true meaning of gale. It was as if he had the ability to fly by instinct. My connection with the world has become closer. This thought flashed through Jiang Ci's mind. Not only the ability to fly, but his body and spiritual sense had also been greatly improved in this upgrade. In short, he had become stronger. He opened the experience panel. Cultivation, Golden Core, Early Stage 1255000, Tao Technique, True Meaning of Gale, 500,000/500,000, True Meaning of Sword, 824,061 million, Amplitude, 16. 658. Deduction, 10,000 experience points per time. Cultivation method, Purple Firmament Sword Scripture, Peacock Visualization experience points, 9, 77 million. The increase in cultivation was also reflected on the panel. Early Stage Golden Core Stage. Leveling up required 255,000 experience points. Let's celebrate the new year first. I'll settle accounts after the new year. Jiang Ci left the practice room and went to visit relatives and friends with Jiang Daodu, returning to the life of an ordinary person. He played like this for a few days. On the 6th day of the new year, he really calmed down and improved his strength. At the same time, he first asked Shen Tian to confirm the location of Hessus and some others, so that he wouldn't be unable to find them when he settled accounts later. Those 1,000-year-old spiritual fruits obtained from the flame dragon's lair have come in handy now. Jiang Ci sat cross-legged in the underground practice room and took out the 1,000-year-old spiritual fruits from the storage ring. Then, he began to use these spiritual fruits to increase his cultivation experience. A 1,000-year-old spiritual fruit could provide about 80,000 points of spiritual energy. With the help of this spiritual energy, riverward speed of improvement was very fast. After only an hour, he received a call from Shen Tian. Jiang Ci, I've confirmed the location of Hessus and Mo Tua. Why? Do you want to make a move now? Shen Tian asked. My strength has made a breakthrough, and I'm not afraid of the threat of the holy city. It's time to settle accounts with them, Jiang Ci replied. A breakthrough? You formed the Golden Core? Yes, it's been a few days. Shen Tian was silent for a moment before recovering from the shock. Then, he said, okay, I'll call bye-bye. The 3 of us will teach these shameless people a lesson together. Big brother, I suggest that we split up. You and Sister Bai will go to the Peacock Nation to settle accounts with Mo Tua, lest that old Baldy sees that the situation is bad and runs away. You can do it alone. No problem. Hearing Jiang Ci's affirmative answer, Shen Tian didn't say much and listened to Jiang Ci's suggestion. He had already seen Jiang Ci's strength. No matter how much Jiang Ci's strength had improved after forming the Golden Core, he would definitely be able to block the attacks of those holy light spears. There was no need to worry about his safety. After ending the call, Jiang Ci didn't continue to improve. He took out the deep stasis sword and prepared to go out. Before leaving, he told Jiang Daodu. Daodu, I'm going out for a while. I'll be back soon. Jiang Daodu's eyes lit up when she saw Jiang Ci carrying a sword on his back. Big brother, are you going to settle accounts? Yes, I checked the almanac. Today is a good day to go out and kill people. Roar. Go, big brother. Kill that shameless old man. Just you wait. Jiang Ci waved his hand and flew into the air, disappearing in an instant. His speed had improved significantly compared to before the breakthrough. In the past hour, he had consumed a total of 3,000-year-old spiritual fruits. The spiritual energy provided had pushed his cultivation level close to the mid-stage of the golden core. Cultivation level, golden core, early stage 2430012550000. It could be said that his current strength had improved by nearly 10 times since the last time he went to the holy city. Do you really think that I'm a pushover? Riverward's figure flitted across the sky, leaving behind afterimages of flowing light. Very soon, he arrived at the holy city. Revisiting the old place, you're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.